Chapter 1936. The white-robed elder's eyes darkened. I didn't see them kill anyone. I only saw you kill them. I had no choice but to come out and stop you. Oh, does that mean that the people who died around me committed suicide? Or did they kill each other? Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes and laughed coldly. The white-robed elder's face was indifferent. That's hard to say. Are you stupid? Or do you think that everyone in the world is stupid? It's obvious that my people were killed by this group of people. Are you still lying through your teeth? Yin Luofeng laughed coldly as he approached the two elders. Tell me, who sent you? Hearing this, the white-robed elder did not even raise his eyes. I don't know this group of people. I was just passing by, and saw that you were bullying the weak. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I interfered. What if I insist on killing them? Yin Luofeng's eyes flashed with a dangerous light as his lips curled into a cold smile. Then don't blame me for being unreasonable. The white-robed elder's tone was as indifferent as ever. He had already stretched out his hand and attacked Yin Luofeng. The two elders had already heard of Yin Luofeng's strength from Imperial concubine Lin. Naturally, they did not dare to underestimate him. Therefore, after the white-robed elder attacked, the gray-robed elder also moved. The two of them did not hold back. Once they started fighting, they would give it their all. If anyone stops me from killing, I will kill that person today. Yin Luofeng's voice was domineering and pierced through the clouds, bringing a wave of echoes. At the same time, she summoned her dragon scale armor. With a long sword in her hand, she quickly rushed in front of the two elders. The entire void trembled because of their battle. Chi Su stood in the forest and watched Yin Luofeng fight in the void. His eyes were full of worry. That's not right. Qi Ling frowned slightly. I've seen all the divine realm experts in the royal family. I don't know these two people. Chi Su was stunned. He turned to look at Qi Ling. Could it be that they weren't sent by Imperial concubine Lin? No, I feel that it was her. Only she would do such a thing. Qi Ling shook his head and said. Then what's going on? Chi Su frowned. When Mo Qianqing heard their conversation, he couldn't help but interject. Have you not heard of the appearance-changing technique? A person could even change their aura, so it was normal for them to change their appearance. After all, since the imperial concubine had done such a thing, she definitely didn't want anyone to use her against her. As such, she naturally asked these people to disguise themselves. As Mo Qianqing thought about it, he couldn't help but look at Yin Luofeng, who was fighting with the two elders in the sky. No one knew what he was thinking in his pitch-black eyes. Within the void, Yin Luofeng could no longer deal with it as easily as before. Even though she had once defeated a heavenly god, that was only because her opponent was alone. Now, there were two standing in front of her. Moreover, the dragon scale armor had a time limit. She had to finish them off within this time. Otherwise, once she lost the dragon scale armor, she would be even more unable to deal with them. Bang! The gray-robed old man suddenly appeared behind Yin Luofeng and punched her in the back. She fell a few meters forward. She slightly raised her head and narrowed her eyes with a hint of coldness. Miss Yun! Chi Su's heart clenched. He hated himself. If it wasn't for the fact that he was too weak, he wouldn't have been so helpless at this time. There were 3 more chapters in the afternoon. Chapter 1937. Young lady, do you know a saying? The white-robed elder looked at the lady in front of him and said calmly. Karma is in the cycle of the heavens. You killed someone just now, so you must pay the price now. Yin Luofeng wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and smiled slightly. Then let me give you a saying as well. Those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. Hearing this, the white-robed elder's expression turned cold, and he snorted. You have a sharp tongue. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Boom! In an instant, the white-robed elder's aura surged out once again and engulfed the entire void. At this moment, the sky had also turned gray and hazy. In midair, Yin Luofeng held a long sword in her hand and stood against the wind. Her expression was calm as her fine black hair fluttered in the wind. Master, let Azure Wings and Little Worm come out and help. Little Mo's worried voice rang out from Yin Luofeng's soul. Little Worm and Azure Wings had already broken through to become a deity. Moreover, one of them was an ancient ancestral dragon, and the other was an immortal puppet. Even with the strength of a deity, they could deal with a sky god. But Yun Luofeng shook her head indifferently. No, I can still hold on. Moreover, I reached a bottleneck a few days ago. Perhaps this battle can help me break through. Yes, from the beginning, Yun Luofeng had been prepared to deal with these two old men. Even if she couldn't do it, she still had little worm and azure wings. Unfortunately, she had already reached a bottleneck this time. So she decided to deal with the two of them on her own. Boom! As soon as Yun Luofeng finished speaking, the attacks of the white-robed elder and the gray-robed elder closed in on her. She hurried to meet the two old men head-on. The battle in the void became more and more intense, and the people below also became nervous. Mo Qianqing's gaze was fixed on Yun Luofeng, who was fighting with the two old men. A red light gradually appeared in his pitch-black eyes. His fists were clenched tightly, and his youthful and handsome face was filled with anger. Yes, anger. Mo Qianqing looked at the besieged woman. Suddenly, the image of that king-like man who had been chased by a group of strong cultivators surfaced in his mind. Bang! At this moment, the gray-robed old man's fist landed heavily on Yun Luofeng's body. Yun Luofeng's body was instantly sent flying like an arrow leaving a bow. No, don't! Mo Qianqing's heart stopped beating at this moment. His eyes were filled with red light, and his long silver hair danced in the wind. His expression was terrifying, and he didn't look like the innocent and harmless young man he used to be. Kill all of them. Let them accompany us in death. To be buried with them. These two words leapt into Mo Qianqing's mind. His mind also became blank, as if there was only one thought left in his mind. Everyone present, no matter who it was, deserved to die. Those two deities deserved to die because they had harmed her. The second prince also deserved to die. If he hadn't attracted these people, she wouldn't have been in danger. Patter. The young man stood firmly on the spot. He could even clearly hear the sound of the seal in his body shattering. However, at this moment, there was only the falling figure of the woman in the young man's eyes. His eyes were bloodshot, as if they had been dyed with blood, and they carried a terrifying light. Chi Su and the others were all looking at Yun Luofeng. Because of this, no one noticed Mo Qianqing's strange expression. Chapter 1938. Thump. Yun Luofeng's body landed heavily on the ground, creating a large crater. She wiped the blood from the corner of her lips and crawled up from the ground. Without any hesitation, she charged towards the two elders once again. The gray-robed elder's eyes were filled with shock as he said in a gloomy voice, "Little girl, you've made me look at you in a different light. You're still able to stand after receiving such a heavy blow. No wonder you've achieved so much at such a young age." Yun Luofeng raised her head, and her pitch-black eyes were filled with light. Continue. This time, she made the first move and charged towards the gray-robed elder who was closest to her. The gray-robed elder dodged to the side and evaded Yun Luofeng's attack. His arm landed heavily on Yun Luofeng's shoulder, causing her to stumble a few steps back. She left a shadow in the sky. At that moment, Yun Luofeng could clearly feel the power of the dragon scale armor weakening. If she did not deal with it soon, she would not be able to defeat these two elders with her own power. Little girl, it looks like you won't be able to hold on for much longer. In the beginning, Yun Luofeng had been able to evade his attacks. Now that her power was gradually weakening, she was clearly no match for them. However, the gray-robed elder also wanted to end the battle quickly. Hence, he did not give Yun Luofeng any chance to catch her breath, and attacked her once again. Boom! A powerful force penetrated her body, and caused Yun Luofeng to spit out a mouthful of blood. However, her body remained as hard as steel, and showed no signs of collapsing. Continue. She touched the blood at the corner of her lips again, and continued. Elderby. The gray-robed elder glanced at the white-robed elder and said eerily, "It's getting late, we should leave this place. This time we don't need to hold back. Let's use all our power to kill her." All right. The white-robed elder nodded. He slowly raised his hand, and a hurricane gradually formed in front of his hand. The hurricane grew larger and larger, as if it had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Enough to destroy everything. The gray-robed elder did not show any weakness either. The hurricane swirled around him, and even his gray robes were swirling in the wind. Forget about the all-out attack of these two old men. Even if it was just one of them, this young woman would immediately turn into ashes. In a withered forest, Enchanting's body was unable to move. His body was constantly emitting small cracking noises. Except for him, no one could hear these sounds. And when it saw that Yin Luofeng was in danger, the shattering sounds became faster and faster. With a loud bang, it broke through. Unfortunately, it was too late. The moment Enchanting broke through the seal, the power of the two old men had already closed in on Yin Luofeng, instantly swallowing her body. No! Suddenly, Enchanting's pupils shrank, his voice filled with pain and fear. Miss Yun. Qi Su and Qi Ling's expressions also changed greatly. They quickly rushed towards the place where Yin Luofeng had just been standing. Enchanting stood there in a daze. He looked at the place where Yin Luofeng had been swallowed, then turned to look at Qi Ling, whose face was full of anxiety. In that instant, a powerful killing intent shot out from his narrowed pupils. He clenched his fists tightly and his face contorted in pain. Was he the one who killed Yin Luofeng? That's right. If he had not lured these people here, Yin Luofeng would not have died. Hence, regardless of whether it was the two heaven gods or the people of the kingdom of Tianqi, they would all be buried with her. Chapter 1939. We've finally dealt with this woman. The gray-robed elder snorted coldly and said sinisterly, Let's go, we should head back. However, just as the two of them turned around, an evil and domineering voice suddenly rang out from the dust-covered area. Qi Su, get out of the way. The two old men froze when they heard the voice. Qi Su and Qi Ling were stunned for a second before they reacted. They quickly retreated a few hundred meters away. Enchanting's lifeless eyes gradually lit up. He stared at the dust-covered sky, afraid to miss even the slightest bit. When the dust settled, Yin Luofeng's figure slowly appeared. The woman looked a little disheveled, but she still gave off an untainted feeling. The dragon scale armor on her body had completely disappeared, and her white robe had also been destroyed to the point of being tattered. The white-robed elder turned around in shock. His eyes widened and his breathing quickened. You didn't die? How could this be? How could this woman still be alive? Yin Luofeng didn't answer him. He only smiled mysteriously. I have a gift for you. What? Before the two old men could react, they heard a boom, and a thundercloud suddenly appeared in the sky. The thundercloud glowed purple and thunder rumbled. Then, without warning, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot down. Ah! The two old men who were close to Yin Luofeng were naturally struck by the lightning as well. They wailed in pain. You broke through? Lightning tribulations only appeared when one broke through to the sky god level. But this woman had actually broken through at this time? I should also thank you. If you hadn't helped me break through the bottleneck, I wouldn't have been able to become a sky god. The white-robed elder was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He gritted his teeth. Do you think you can kill us with this lightning tribulations? Let me tell you, it's impossible. It's not like I haven't experienced lightning tribulations before. After all, he was also a sky god and had experienced lightning tribulations before. Lightning tribulations alone couldn't kill them. Yin Luofeng smiled evilly. Unfortunately, my lightning tribulations are different from others. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he finished speaking, another lightning tribulations appeared. This one was even more powerful than the previous one. It struck the two old men directly, causing them to wail in pain. But it wasn't over. The bolts of lightning were even more powerful than before. They rained down, leaving the two old men with no energy left to escape. Ah! The shouts of the two old men rang out one after another, causing everyone present to be dumbfounded. Qi Su stared blankly at the mighty thunder tribulations, his eyes glazed over. Holy! Suddenly he let out an angry roar. Qi Ling came back to his senses and turned to look at him. What happened? Qi Su's expression kept changing. Almost a year ago, someone near our drifting wind nation broke through to become a deity and triggered a thunder tribulation. That thunder tribulation was so fierce that it shocked all the powerful warriors in the drifting wind nation. Unfortunately, I thought that Lady Yin was just unlucky, and was accidentally affected by the lightning tribulations. It seems that he was the one who triggered the lightning tribulations. Thinking of this, Chi-Su took a deep breath. He remembered that Drifting Wind Nation had been searching for the powerhouse, who triggered such a powerful lightning tribulations. He never thought that the powerhouse would be right beside him. Chapter 1940. Did you see that? Even the sky god powerhouses of the nation of Tianqi couldn't withstand such a lightning tribulation. In comparison, Yin Luofeng was calm and collected. His expression was as if he was drenched in the rain. In fact, no one knew that Yin Luofeng's body was already somewhat overwhelmed by the lightning attacks. However, she had to hold on and not let all her previous efforts go to waste. Fortunately, she had experienced this kind of lightning tribulation before and already had a certain resistance. Compared to the two old men, she was much better off. Girl, you will definitely suffer retribution for being so vicious. The white-robed old man gritted his teeth. Blood was already flowing from the corner of his mouth as he spoke viciously. Yin Luofeng's lips curled into a smile. I was only breaking through. It was you who appeared by my side. The lightning doesn't recognize people, so who can you blame? Indeed, the lightning wasn't Yin Luofeng's instigation. They could only blame their bad luck. Boom! The lightning tribulation was getting stronger and stronger. The two old men finally couldn't hold on any longer and fell to the ground. Using the last of his strength, the old man's voice was filled with anger. Even if we die here, you won't be able to escape. The heavenly Tao won't let you off. This girl's talent was too strong. She actually attracted such a powerful heavenly Tao. If she was allowed to continue growing, the consequences would be unimaginable. After saying that, they had already lost all their strength. Their eyelids slowly became weak. Yin-Yi. Just as the two old men lost their ability to resist, Yin Luofeng finally couldn't hold on any longer. Her body swayed as she suddenly called out. Swoosh! In an instant, a mighty and strong figure appeared in front of Yin Luofeng. It appeared out of thin air and blocked the violent lightning attacks. The lightning landed on Yin Yi's burly body, forging his physique until it was very smooth. However, Yin Yi remained expressionless. His expression didn't change at all. A puppet? Qi Ling and the others were stunned as they looked at Yin Yi, who blocked the lightning. Then, they saw a shocking scene. The lightning attacks that were originally violent were all absorbed by Yin Yi. After withstanding the lightning, Yin Yi's body emitted a powerful strength. His cold eyes were filled with dominance. A heavenly god? Under the forging of the lightning, this puppet actually became a heavenly god? Qi Ling and the others opened their mouths wide in surprise. Obviously, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. As for the two elders originally, he was still filled with hope, thinking that Yin Luofeng would also die under the heavenly lightning. But now that he saw this scene, his expression changed greatly, and his eyes filled with fear. Kill them! Yin Luofeng's lips curled up slightly as he said in anger. In an instant, Yin Yi had already rushed in front of the two elders. Because the two elders had already lost their ability to fight, Yin Yi killed them as easily as cutting vegetables. With a swing of his blade, the two old men's chests were pierced by the blade. With the death of the heavenly deity, the others were utterly defeated. Under the threat of the azure wings, no one could escape. Yin Luofeng slowly came back to his senses and walked in front of Chi-Su and the others. He looked at the dumbfounded Qi Ling and said, "Go and see if you recognize those two people." All right. Qi Ling's eyes were filled with complex emotions, but he was very glad in his heart. He was glad that he had obtained Yin Luofeng's help. Moreover, he was confident that with Yin Luofeng's strength, unifying the Wind Cloud continent was only a matter of time. Chapter 1941. Qi Ling slowly walked in front of the two old men. He lifted his hand and removed the old man's mask. When he saw that familiar face, even though Qi Ling was mentally prepared, he could not help but feel a chill. These two people are indeed from the nation of Tianqi's elder group. Furthermore, they are people who listen to my imperial father's orders. Chi-Su looked at Qi Ling and found that his figure was very lonely. At this moment, he actually felt the same way. The current Qi Ling was very similar to him in the past. Fortunately, they had met Yun Luofeng, the benefactor who changed their lives. Miss Yun, Qi Ling turned to look at Yun Luofeng and asked, "These innocent people have followed me for many years. I do not wish to bury them on the spot. Hence, I intend to let the remaining people send them back to the nation of Tianqi and let their souls return to their homeland. As for the four-nation youth competition, I will participate alone." Even if he was alone, he would do his best to obtain victory. Yun Luofeng nodded. "All right, let them return. Furthermore, you will have the opportunity to take revenge for today." Qi Ling did not say anything. He had never expected that his imperial father would do such a thing to make his third royal brother look good. However, after all, he was his biological father. He would definitely feel conflicted about killing his biological father. However, he would not let today's debt go just like that. If that person lived peacefully in the future, he would imprison him after he seized the throne. If he still wanted to do something to him, even if he was his father, he would not forgive him. Qi Ling slowly exhaled, and a smile appeared on his handsome face. The four-nation youth competition is about to begin. Let's continue. After saying this, Qi Ling gave instructions to the elites who were born. Those elites bowed and retreated, preparing to bring these dead souls back to their homeland. Qi Ling waved his sleeves, looking carefree and unrestrained. "Imperial Consort Lin, if you want this prince to make your son look good, then you are gravely mistaken. I will definitely become the champion of this four-nation youth competition. I will not give up." Yun Luofeng looked at the confident Qi Ling and felt that he had not misjudged him. Enchanting had been watching Yun Luofeng from the side. He wanted to speak several times, but ultimately swallowed his words. "What's the matter?" Yun Luofeng saw that Enchanting had something to say and asked indifferently. Enchanting lowered his head in shame. "I'm sorry I couldn't help you." Now, whenever he thought about how Yun Luofeng had almost been killed by those people, his heart would be filled with terror and anger. However, no matter how angry he was unable to help Yun Luofeng at that time. Furthermore, it was too late to break the seal. If he had been able to break through the seal earlier, perhaps Yun Luofeng would not have encountered such a crisis. "You don't have to apologize. This has nothing to do with you." But you're Zhu Qian. How can I just sit back and watch?" Enchanting knew that Yun Luofeng was estranged from him, so he didn't say this out loud. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes and asked, "You've seen it for yourself. Following me will be very dangerous. Are you sure you want to follow me?" Enchanting bit her lips. "If I don't follow you, I will be in even more danger. Aren't you afraid that someone will want to kill me, causing me to inadvertently break the seal?" Chapter 1942. In order to stay by her side, he could not tell her that the seal had been broken. Otherwise, this woman would not let him stay. Moreover, seeing that Yun Luofeng was in danger, he could not leave. "Let's go." Yun Luofeng turned to look at Qi Ling and the others. He did not speak to Enchanting. Not long ago, they had come in a mighty group. Now, only the three of them were left. Qi Ling felt a little sad. He took one last look at the remaining elites and forced himself to turn his head. "Let's go." Behind him, the group of iron-blooded soldiers respectfully sent the three off, until their figures completely disappeared. The kingdom of Tianqi. Imperial concubine Lin was lying on a soft couch. Her hair was loose. Even though she was in her middle years, she still looked beautiful, because she had taken good care of her body. "Your Highness." At this moment, a panicked figure ran in. "Something bad has happened, Your Highness." The palace maid stumbled over, her face full of panic. Imperial concubine Lin frowned. "What's the matter?" "Your Highness, the experts you sent to kill the second prince's elite troops were completely annihilated." "What?" Imperial concubine Lin felt a sharp pain in her chest. She was so shocked that she immediately sat up, her beautiful face pale and colorless. "What did you just say? Completely annihilated?" As far as she knew, Yun Luofeng was only a god. Because he had a dragon-scale armor, he could deal with heavenly gods. However, she had sent 2 heavenly gods. Logically, Yun Luofeng could not be their match. "Your Highness, it's true. Our men found the corpses of Elder Bai and the others. Imperial concubine Lin's face paled. She fell to the ground. She bit her lips, her body trembling. How could this be? Two heavenly gods were not Yin Luofeng's match? How terrifying was that woman's strength? At this moment, Imperial concubine Lin finally felt fear. In her heart, she regretted her decision to send someone over. In addition, Your Highness, this servant has also heard of another matter. The Jian family's second miss has been crippled, the palace maid said in a trembling voice. What does this have to do with me? Imperial concubine Lin was worried about Yin Luofeng's strength. When she suddenly heard the palace maid's words, her expression became somewhat unhappy. It's like this, Your Highness. A while ago, a man went to the second prince's residence to find Yin Luofeng. He just happened to run into the Jian family's second miss, who was loitering outside the second prince's residence. That Jian family's second miss claimed that Yin Luofeng was unbearably lascivious. First she seduced Qi Su, then she seduced the second prince. In the end, that man crippled the second miss of the Jian family in a fit of rage. Imperial concubine Lin frowned. This man was bold enough to even touch a member of the Jian family. However, how could the person who knew Yin Luofeng be an ordinary person? Speaking of which, this Jian family was really unlucky. Jianyi first provoked Yin Luofeng, and in the end, he was captured by Yin Luofeng. For the sake of their only daughter, the Jian family had paid a huge price to redeem her. Who knew that Jianyi would offend someone and get crippled? The Jian family wouldn't be able to exchange her for another fortune. Do you know where that man came from? I'm not sure. I only know that he's wearing a mask. A mask? Imperial concubine Lin thought for a moment. She didn't have any impression of such a person. She waved her hand. You can leave first. I need to calm down. To the royal family, the strength of an enlightened master was very important. Chapter 1943. Now the kingdom of Tianqi had lost two gods. This was a huge loss for Qiyu, who was about to inherit the kingdom of Tianqi. At this moment, Imperial concubine Lin was still confident that Qiyu would be the successor of the kingdom of Tianqi and the person who would unify the four nations. Not far away, in the forest, a cold man in black robes stood on a mountain peak. Fenger, wait for me. I will arrive at Wind Cloud City very soon. The woman's picturesque figure appeared in the man's mind. The corners of the man's lips curled up into an arc. It had been more than 10 years since they had met. In these 10 years, they had been apart more than together. However, this did not affect their relationship. No matter where she was, he would always think that she was right in front of him. Wind Cloud City. Normally, it was like a lifeless city without any signs of human habitation. In fact, no one even lived there. But now Wind Cloud City was bustling with activity. A soldier was standing guard at the city gate. When he saw Yin Luofeng and the other two walking over, he frowned slightly. This is Wind Cloud City. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed in. I am the second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi. I am also here to participate in the four-nation youth competition. Qi Ling said indifferently with his hands behind his back. The soldier was stunned. The second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi? Where are your troops? Qi Ling raised his head and looked at the soldier. His voice was indifferent. I do not need subordinates. Did this mean that there were only 3 of them participating? The soldier was shocked. However, the competition did not have a minimum number of participants. Hence, he did not say anything. After Qi Ling produced the evidence, he let him in. The second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi is really strange. Does he think that he can win with just the 3 of them? I heard that the most favored person in the kingdom of Tianqi is the third prince. Maybe the second prince is just here to join in the fun. The 2 soldiers at the gate underestimated the girl and did not say anything else. They started to stand guard at the gate and inspect the people who came. Even though Wind Cloud City was usually uninhabited, it was a beautiful place. Even the relay station was luxuriously built. There were also soldiers at the entrance of the relay station. Hence, Qi Ling produced the evidence again, and the soldier let him in. However, just as the 3 of them stepped into the relay station, they saw Qiyu striding towards them. When Qiyu saw Qi Ling appear at the door, and saw that there were no soldiers behind him, He couldn't help but laugh. Haha, second imperial brother. Where are your elite troops? They wouldn't have died on the road, right? I think your elites are only SOSO. They can't even deal with some spirit beasts, and you want to rely on them to win? Qi Ling clenched his fists tightly. Third brother, don't tell me you don't know what happened? A cold glint flashed across Qi Yu's eyes. Second brother, I don't know what you mean. What does it have to do with me if something happens to your troops? Don't splash dirty water on me. Otherwise, Imperial Father won't let you off. Qi Ling's eyes turned blood red at the thought of his subordinates' deaths, but in the end, he restrained his emotions. Third royal brother, remember what you have done. One day, I will take my revenge. Qi Yu laughed coldly. His eyes flickered and landed on Yin Luofeng's face. Chapter 1944. Originally, he wanted to say a few mocking words. However, when he saw the girl's sinister gaze, he swallowed his words in fright. He waved his hand and gritted his teeth, saying, "Let's go." Humph. I'll let this girl be pleased first. After I unify the four nations, I'll definitely make her beg for mercy under me. As if thinking of that scene, Qi Yu could not help but laugh sinisterly. He could not hide his pride. The Golden Sun Nation is hosting the four-nation youth competition this time. They are also the strongest nation among the four nations. After Qi Yu left, Qi Ling turned to look at Yin Luofeng and explained. Furthermore, the Golden Sun Princess of the Golden Sun Nation is very talented. Her subordinates are all very strong as well. They are also strong opponents for us this time. This Golden Sun Princess was able to use the nation's name as her title. This showed her status in the Golden Sun Nation. Qi Ling said this to raise Yin Luofeng's vigilance. However, when he thought of Yin Luofeng's strength, he felt that he was worrying too much. In terms of talent, no one in this world could compare to Yin Luofeng. As a divine spirit, she could fight with a heavenly god. Now that she had broken through to become a heavenly god, she would definitely be even stronger. I'm tired. However, Yin Luofeng had only said that in a lazy tone. There was a sliver of laziness in his expression. Qi Ling laughed involuntarily. The lodgings in the Tianqi nation have already been prepared. Miss Yin, I'll bring you to rest first. All right. Yin Luofeng nodded. Rather than wasting time listening to Qi Ling's nonsense, she might as well consolidate her strength first. Qi Ling did not say anything else. He brought Yin Luofeng to rest first. However, just as they left Yin Luofeng's room, they heard a mocking voice. Oh, I was wondering who it was. It's actually you. Mu Xuexin, is your father not dead yet? This voice was filled with mockery, causing Qi Su's expression to change completely. Second prince, I met an acquaintance. I'll go over first and be back soon. After speaking, his body turned into a gust of wind and rushed to the courtyard at the side. In the courtyard, the young girl had her hands on her hips. She held her head high, and there was a mocking smile on her face as she looked at Mu Xuexin, who she had bet on. Mu Xuexin's expression was very calm, but her clear eyes were surging with rage. Don't worry, even if all the people in the Purple Moon Kingdom die, my father will still be alive. Impudent, Qiao Yefeng roared. Mu Xuexin, who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Your drifting wind country has committed a great sin, yet your imperial father doesn't even have a son. Do you know what this means? His family line was cut off. Your drifting wind nation is already without descendants. Although there was a little prince in the past, he was not Mu Xintian's son. That was why Qiao Yefeng said that. Mu Xuexin was enraged as she raised her hand and slapped Qiao Yefeng. No one had expected Mu Xuexin to make a move against another participant on the eve of the four-nation youth competition. They were all stunned. Mu Xuexin, you dare to hit me? Qiao Yefeng widened her eyes in disbelief and said angrily, Guards, take this damned woman down for this princess. Princess. The palace maid on the side carefully pulled Mu Xuexin's sleeve. After all, we sneaked out. It's better not to cause trouble, lest His Majesty. Chapter 1945. That was right. This time, Qiao Yefeng had indeed escaped from the palace. She had even participated in the four-nation youth competition, on her own initiative. who asked her imperial father to make her the concubine of that ugly ghost emperor. How was that ugly ghost emperor worthy of him? Only the ugliest woman in the world would be interested in that ugly ghost emperor. However, Xiao Yefeng and Mu Xuexin had become enemies many years ago. When Xiao Yefeng saw Mu Xuexin, she immediately exploded. Xiao Yefeng had always treated the palace maids well. However, when she heard this, she immediately slapped the palace maid beside her. Are you blind? Can't you see this princess being bullied? This woman dared to hit this princess. She must pay the price. The palace maid lowered her head, feeling wronged. She did not dare to say anything. Xiao Yefeng glared at Mu Xuexin angrily. When she saw that the people beside her did not help her, she decided to do it herself. But as soon as she raised her hand, it was held back by a strong arm. Boom! That person pushed Xiao Yefeng back a few steps. Anger rose in her heart as she looked up. However, when she saw the youth's handsome face, she was stunned. In fact, Xiao Yefeng had a purpose for coming here. The people who could participate in the four-nation youth competition were all dragons and phoenixes among men. In order to prevent her imperial father from forcing her to marry that ugly ghost emperor, she had to find an ideal husband. Undeniably, the princes of the various nations were the husbands she looked forward to. As princes, not only were they talented, but they were also of noble status. Some of them were exceptionally beautiful. Only a man like this could match up to her status. Hence, when Xiao Yefeng saw Qi Su, she was certain that the youth before her was the husband she looked forward to. Qi Su. Mu Xuexin turned her head and saw the youth's handsome profile. She felt joy in her heart. Why are you here? I followed Qi Lingmu. Are you all right? Qi Su asked worriedly. Mu Xuexin blushed and shook her head. I'm fine. Qi Su. I will not let myself suffer. Then I can rest assured. Qi Su smiled and turned his head to look at Xiao Yefeng. At that moment his eyes turned cold, and there was an eerie chill in his gaze. The princess of the Purple Moon Kingdom is nothing more than this. When Xiao Yefeng heard Qi Su's merciless ridicule, she immediately became flustered. This is a grudge between me and Mu Xuexin. What does it have to do with you? This young man was not bad, but his eyes were a little bad. He actually fell for a woman like Mu Xuexin. Was Mu Xuexin more beautiful than her? Mu is my fiancé, why should I not care? Qi Su smiled coldly and said expressionlessly. Xiao Yefeng fiercely gritted her teeth. A dog with a dog, a wolf with a wolf. You and Mu Xuexin are a couple, so you're definitely not a good person. Xiao Cui, let's go. Even if Xiao Yefeng was brainless, she knew that Qi Su's strength was not simple. She could tell just from his push just now. Therefore, she glared fiercely at Qi Su and left with her palace maids and guards in a haughty manner. Qi Su retracted his gaze. Lady Yun is here too. Really? Mu Xuexin's eyes lit up. Her face was full of smiles. I really admire Lady Yun's medical skills. When there's time, I want to learn a thing or two from her. She playfully stuck out her tongue and giggled. By the way, why did you follow the second prince of the Tianqi kingdom here? Chapter 1946. Miss Yun wants to support Qi Ling. In a simple sentence, Mu Xuexin revealed Yun Luofeng's purpose. Mu Xuexin nodded. I have heard of the second prince of Tianqi kingdom. He is indeed a character. Miss Yun's vision is very accurate. Supporting him will definitely be a great help. Qi Su touched the back of his head and smiled gently. I will be with the people of Tianqi kingdom during this time. If you need anything, come to me at any time. I will definitely help you. Speaking of which, Qi Su is still worried about Mu Xuexin. He is afraid that she will be bullied here. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. Having said that, but thinking of those people, Mu Xuexin's eyes still darkened. Her father has no son, only a daughter. Because of this, she became the object of ridicule by the princesses and princes of other countries. Seeing Qi Su's worried eyes, Mu Xuexin said again, if there is anything, I will come to you. Hearing this, Qi Su smiled. Then I will go back first. Lest Miss Yin has something to tell me. You should also rest early. Mu Xuexin thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, then I will visit Miss Yin tomorrow. She doesn't know why, but for Yin Luofeng, Mu Xuexin has a very good impression. Perhaps it is because he not only saved her but also saved her father. At this time, in the Purple Moon Kingdom's inn, Xiao Yefeng angrily walked in and cursed. That man is really blind. I don't know how many times more beautiful than Mu Xuexin. But he only pays attention to Mu Xuexin. Your Highness. Xiao Chui's face was still red from the fingerprints. She did not dare to speak as carelessly as before. Her tone was cautious. Just now, I heard Mu Xuexin call that young man Qi Su. But there isn't a prince in the 4 countries named Qi Su. Xiao Yefeng froze for a moment and then reacted. Yes, that young man is not a member of the royal family. Is he a prince's guard? No wonder he can ignore me. It's because he knows that I am not as stupid as Mu Xuexin. Xiao Yefeng felt that what she thought was very reasonable. A guard had become the fiancé of a princess. How could the emperor of Drifting Wind Country allow such a thing to happen? Besides, the guard had not fallen in love with her because of her beauty, because he knew very well that there were no princes in the Drifting Wind Country. As a son-in-law who had married Mu Jintian's most beloved daughter, perhaps Mu Jintian would pass the throne to him? Fortunately, I didn't pursue such a man. He's willing to give himself to Mu Xuexin for power. Such a person is truly disgusting. A trace of disgust flashed in Xiao Yefeng's eyes. She rejoiced that she wasn't bewitched by the youth's appearance. She raised her head and saw the palm print on Xiao Chui's face. She asked, I didn't mean to hit you just now. I was really angry. Are you still in pain? Xiao Chui's eyes flickered with tears of gratitude. She hurriedly shook her head. Thank you for your concern, princess. This servant doesn't feel any pain. That's good. Xiao Yefeng smiled. Go and spread a rumor for me later. Tell them that Mu Xuexin's fiancé is just a lowly guard. Xiao Yefeng was not a citizen of Drifting Wind Country after all. She rarely asked about the affairs of other countries, so she was naturally unaware of Qi Su's status in Drifting Wind Country. She was also unaware of the recent events in Drifting Wind Country. Even though she was unaware of it, it did not mean that the princesses and princes of the other countries were unaware of it. Hence, the rumor that she had asked the palace maids to spread would only bring disgrace upon herself. Chapter 1947. The 4 Nations Youth Competition unfolded under everyone's expectations. Wind Cloud City. In the center of the city square, people from various countries have gradually arrived. Mu Xuexin saw Yin Luofeng and Qi Su at a glance and smiled at them. At the same time, she saw Xiao Yefeng standing in the Purple Moon Kingdom's team, staring at Yin Luofeng. Her eyes flashed with surprise and schadenfreude. And finally there was jealousy. She was surprised because Mu Xuexin's fiancé was actually standing with another woman. Schadenfreude because there will be a good show to watch later. As for jealousy, it was because the white-clothed woman was too devastatingly beautiful. She was as beautiful as a person from a painting. This made Xiao Yefeng, who had always been proud of her appearance, so jealous that her eyes turned red. She really wanted to tear that face apart. However, when he thought about the show he was about to see, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. Isn't that the fiancé of the princess of Flowing Wind Country? What? You abandoned Mu Xuexin so quickly and found a new lover? TSK, sure enough, men are not good things. Xiao Yefeng did not care about the gazes around her. Her lips curved into a sneer. You're just a little guard. First for the power of the royal family. You hooked up with a silly woman like Mu Xuexin. And now you're standing with another woman in front of everyone. I guess only a brainless woman like Mu Xuexin would choose a fiancé like you. That's right. Xiao Yefeng deliberately said such words in front of everyone. The purpose is to let people understand how bad Mu Xuexin's vision is. It will make Flowing Wind Country lose face. Not to mention, she wanted to see the scene of these 2 women fighting. Unfortunately, she is doomed to not be able to see such a scene. Mu Xuexin slowly walked towards Yin Luofeng. Her pretty face raised a smile, as if she did not hear Xiao Yefeng's provocation. Miss Yin, I wanted to visit you 2 days ago, but because of some sudden situation, I couldn't go see you. I hope Miss Yin won't take it to heart. Xiao Yefeng's face turned black on the spot. With her understanding of Mu Xuexin, if others peep at her man, this woman will definitely be angry. But why is she so friendly to the woman beside Chi Su? At the thought of this, Xiao Yefeng gritted her teeth. Her face was filled with anger and unwillingness, and her eyes were filled with viciousness. Yun Luofeng used his chin to point at Xiao Yefeng. You know each other? She's just a crazy woman. Mu-er and I wouldn't know such a person. Chi Su was expressionless, and his tone was cold. Xiao Yefeng was so angry that she almost flipped out on the spot. Chi Su, who do you think you are? You're just a guard. In front of this princess, you have no right to speak. Xiao Yefeng's entire body was trembling. Her face was ashen as she glared at Chi Su. At this moment, she did not notice the astonishment in the eyes of the others. Guards. The Qi family of Drifting Wind Nation was also considered a large aristocratic family. Their strength could not compare to the imperial family. But who asked Chi Su to have such a powerful master? People from other countries had heard of Yun Yueqing's story. They weren't like the Qi family back then. They didn't think that Yun Yueqing had really disappeared. Maybe she was just trapped somewhere, and would come out sooner or later. Offending Yun Yueqing's disciple at a time like this wouldn't end well for them. Feng shut up. A luxuriously dressed man heard Xiao Yefeng's words, and his expression immediately changed. Chapter 1948. Imperial brother, did I say something wrong? Xiao Yefeng clenched her fists tightly. I know you purposely created the four-nation youth competition, but I can't stand it anymore. To think that there are such stupid women and shameless men in this world. Fortunately, I am smart enough to not be deceived by such a man like Mu Xuexin. I told you to shut up. Did you hear me? The luxurious man raised his hand and slapped Xiao Yefeng. Honestly speaking, he had wanted to hit this woman for a long time. He thought that she was the smartest person in the world, but in reality, no one was stupider than her. Back in the palace, his father hated conflicts between the princes and princesses the most. Hence, no matter how much he wanted to beat this woman up, he endured it. Now they were in Wind Cloud City. How could he let go of this opportunity? Even if this woman went back to complain, he had reason to do so. Xiao Zixuan. Xiao Yefeng was stunned by this slap. She only recovered her wits after a long time. She held her swollen cheek and looked at the man in front of her in disbelief. You actually dare to hit me? This time, perhaps due to her anger, Xiao Yefeng did not even address him as imperial brother. Instead, she directly called him by his name. I hit you to teach you a lesson. You did not even know the other party's identity, yet you dared to speak so arrogantly. Xiao Zixuan snorted coldly. Chi Su is the young master of the Qi clan. The Qi clan is the #1 noble clan in the Drifting Wind Nation. Yet you claim that he is a guard? Xiao Yefeng was somewhat stunned. Why would someone from the #1 noble clan participate in the four-nation youth competition? Wasn't the four-nation youth competition supposed to be a competition between the princes and princesses of the various nations? Even the people they brought were only guards and palace maids. The most important thing was that the successor of the #1 noble clan in the Drifting Wind Nation was with someone from the Tianqi nation? Imperial brother, isn't it just the #1 noble clan? Is there a need to beat me up because of someone from the #1 noble clan? Although she knew that she had made a mistake, Xiao Yefeng would not apologize. She held back her anger in her heart and said angrily, so what if it was the #1 noble clan? Could it be stronger than the royal clan? Furthermore, she was not wrong. Chi Su wanted to marry Mu Xuexin for the sake of the royal clan. Otherwise, with Mu Xuexin's status, she would have to marry into another royal family. Xiao Zixuan was too lazy to say anything more to her, and coldly threw a sentence. If you want to stay here, you must listen to me. Otherwise, I will send you back to the Purple Moon Kingdom. Upon hearing that Xiao Zixuan wanted to send her back, Xiao Yefeng was so frightened that she shut her mouth and did not dare to say another word. When Mu Xuexin heard Xiao Yefeng slandering Chi Su, she was so angry that she wanted to argue with her, but she was stopped by Yin Luofeng. A person who can't eat grapes says that the grapes are sour. Do you really want to argue with her whether the grapes are sour or not? Not to mention Mu Xuexin, even the onlookers were stunned. Only after a long while did they react and burst into laughter. What nonsense are you spouting? Xiao Yefeng didn't care about the palace maid's tugging, and fiercely shook off her hand. She glared angrily at Yin Luofeng. When did I say the grapes were sour? And you said I can't eat grapes? What a joke! I am the princess of the Purple Moon Kingdom. How can I not eat grapes? The palace maids and guards of the Purple Moon Kingdom were so ashamed that they wanted to dig a hole in the ground. Xiao Zixuan was so angry that his complexion turned ashen. Only Xiao Yefeng did not know why the laughter became even louder after she said those words. Chapter 1949. Your Highness. The palace maid could not stand it anymore, and carefully tugged at Xiao Yefeng's sleeve. She's saying that you like Qi Su, but because he's the fiancé of the princess of Drifting Wind Country, you're saying that he's not good. The palace maid had been vague enough. She was just short of saying that Xiao Yefeng was humiliating Qi Su in front of the world, because she could not have him. That was the truth, was it not? Xiao Yefeng finally reacted. Her beautiful face was flushed red as she bit her lip and clenched her fists. Mu Xuexin laughed mockingly. You'd better go back and learn more. Otherwise, you'll say that the grapes are sour because you can't have them. Xiao Yefeng's face was full of resentment and humiliation after being humiliated in front of so many people. The way she looked at Yin Luofeng also changed from jealousy to hatred. She could not touch Mu Xuexin, but she could not touch her? Amidst the laughter of the crowd, the royal family of Jinyang Country finally arrived. However, no one dared to say a word about the Jinyang Country's tardiness. They all stood calmly on the spot, and even stopped laughing. My apologies, I'm late. The emperor of Jinyang Country, Cheng Feiyang, strode over, flicked his sleeves, and sat down on the throne. Standing beside him was a young and beautiful woman. This woman had a head full of black hair that flowed like a waterfall, thick and beautiful. Her face was very elegant. If one had to describe it, it would be like a hibiscus out of clear water, a natural carving. She did not need any makeup to bring out her elegant and refined beauty. She was dressed in a purple scholarly dress, elegant and dignified. A light yellow sash was tied around her waist, making her look very elegant and fresh. Qi Su looked at the woman standing beside Cheng Feiyang, and lowered his head. She's the #1 genius of Jinyang Country, the Golden Sun Princess. She's also Cheng Feiyang's most beloved daughter. Her status in Jinyang Country is second only to the emperor, and higher than the empress. Yin Luofeng's gaze also fell on the Golden Sun Princess. The Golden Sun Princess seemed to have noticed Yin Luofeng's inquisitive gaze, and looked over. When Princess Jinyang, who was a woman, saw a stunning face in the crowd, she could not help but be stunned. She had always thought that her appearance was unparalleled, but she had never expected that there would be someone so stunning in the vast thousand worlds. Actually, if it was just based on appearance, she didn't think she was bad. However, that woman had a temperament that no one else could compare to. He was like a king, ruling over the world. Below the stage, everyone was looking at Cheng Feiyang and Princess Golden Sunday. Even the arrogant Xiao Yefeng did not feel jealous of Princess Golden Sun at this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's competition will be held by our Jinyang Country. Whoever wins will unify the 4 countries and become the true overlord of the 4 countries. Cheng Feiyang smiled faintly, his eyes shining brightly. Although the Jinyang Country was the strongest out of the 4 countries, the other countries still agreed to participate in the tournament. This was because the current situation of the Wind Cloud continent did indeed require the emergence of a person to lead the entire situation. Of course, more people hoped that the person who could lead the entire situation was themselves. Next, the leaders of each country will report the number of people in each team. In fact, other than the Tianqi country, which had 2 teams, the people from the other countries were all in one team. Chapter 1950. However, the other team from the kingdom of Tianqi only consisted of 3 people. Hence, when Qi Ling reported the number of people, everyone looked at them in surprise. 3 people? Did I hear that right? The second team from the kingdom of Tianqi only has 3 people? TSK, could it be that the second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi thinks that the 3 of them can fight against so many of us? What a joke! Everyone laughed mockingly, their eyes full of mockery. Mu Xuexin's expression was full of worry. She wanted to say something, but when she saw Yin Luofeng's calm expression, the worry in her heart slowly disappeared. Of these two people, one was her trusted benefactor, and the other was her fiancé. Hence she believed in their strength. At this time the third prince, Qiyu, stood up and said arrogantly, "You don't know how arrogant my second brother is. Before we arrived, he said that he only needed 3 people to crush all the princes and princesses of the other royal families. Because of the relationship between Mu Xuexin and Qi Su, the people from the Drifting Wind country did not show any expression. However, when the Purple Moon country and the Golden Sun country heard this, they immediately glared angrily at Qi Ling and the others. Although Qiao Zixuan did not say anything, his eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. It was true that he was afraid of Yin Yueqing, but that did not mean that Qi Su and Qi Ling could make him cower. What's more, Qi Ling dared to say such arrogant words. Only the Golden Sun Princess remained calm, as if she did not hear Qiyu's words. Instead, her pair of clear eyes stared unblinkingly at Yin Luofeng. If there was anyone here that made her wary, it would be this woman in white. Even she did not know why, but she had a feeling that perhaps this woman would become a formidable opponent. Qi Ling frowned. He stood up and wanted to say something, but an arm stretched out and blocked his way. The woman's lips were curled into a smile, and her eyes were filled with evil. She raised her chin slightly, and a faint smile hung on her beautiful face. "You were right about one thing. With just the 3 of us, we can defeat all of you." Arrogant, arrogant. Under everyone's mocking and contemptuous gazes, she actually threw out such a sentence. Everyone was dumbfounded. They did not expect that she would dare to say such words in the presence of all the princes and princesses of the various countries. This was simply incomparably arrogant, not putting them in his eyes at all. Xiao Yefeng laughed coldly. "We are well aware of Qi Ling's strength. As for the 2 of you, I'm afraid that you are not even comparable to Qi Ling. Yet, you want to rely on the 3 of you to crush all of us? This princess has never seen someone as arrogant as you." Yin Luofeng slightly raised his eyebrows and glanced at Xiao Yefeng. "You didn't see it before, but you see it now." "You!" Xiao Yefeng pointed at Yin Luofeng angrily. She was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. "Good. In the 4-nation youth competition later, let me see how capable you are." Did this woman think that she was the Golden Yang princess? Princess Jin Yang was very talented. It was understandable for her to say such words. However, she wanted to crush everyone with just the 3 of them? This was the funniest joke she had ever heard in her life. Thinking of this, the Golden Yang princess glared at Yin Luofeng. Later on, she would use facts to prove whether this woman was truly capable or just hot-headed. Chapter 1951. Outside the city gates, the man in black paused in midair and lowered his head to look at the majestic city gate in front of him. The corners of his lips curled into a shallow smile. However, just as he was about to enter the city gates, 2 soldiers from the Golden Sun country blocked his way. "Stop, please show me your identity seal." Scram! There was a loud boom. As soon as the man's cold words fell, they felt a powerful force slam into their chests, causing their bodies to suddenly fly backwards and fall into the city gates. By the time they regained their senses, the man had already disappeared. "Quick, go and report to His Majesty. An unknown person has barged in." The soldier struggled to stand up. He clutched his injured chest and said breathlessly. Immediately after, he dragged his injured body and rushed towards the venue where the 4-nation youth competition was being held. Wind Cloud City was only so big. As such, the man quickly found the place where the crowd had gathered. From afar, he saw the woman in white standing in the crowd. In that instant, the white-robed woman seemed to have sensed something. She abruptly raised her eyes, and at that moment, her eyes met the man's warm gaze, causing her heart to feel as if it had been struck fiercely. When their eyes met, Yin Luofeng forgot all the noise around him. He only stared blankly at the man in the sky. "Miss Yun." Qi Su sensed Yin Luofeng's strange expression and followed her gaze. Then she saw the godlike man in the sky. The first impression that this man gave off was that he was very powerful. Even though he was wearing a mask, It could not hide his aura. Xiao Yefeng also saw the man in the sky. She frowned and said with some annoyance, "This man is really shameless. He knows that this princess has come to Wine Cloud City, and specially chased after me." A prince of the Golden Sun country was curious about Yin Zhao's identity. When he heard this, he looked at Xiao Yefeng. "Princess Feng, do you know this man?" "That's right." Xiao Yefeng sneered disdainfully. "This man covets this princess' beauty and actually covets this princess. He wants Imperial Father to marry this princess to him. But he doesn't even look at himself. He's so ugly that he can't show his face. This princess will definitely not agree." To save face, she did not tell the prince of the Jinyang kingdom that her father intended to give her to this man as a concubine. If this matter were to spread out, how could she, Xiao Yefeng, continue to mingle in this mainland? As he spoke, the man in the sky slowly walked over. His cold eyes were filled with warmth at this moment. His black eyes pierced through everyone and landed on the woman in white. Feng. He had finally found her. In this life, I only hope that we will never be separated again. Who would have thought that when Xiao Yefeng heard Yin Zhao's way of addressing her, she thought that she was being addressed, and the disgust on her face was undisguised. "Ghost Emperor, it's not easy for me to escape from the Purple Moon Kingdom and come to this place. You actually chased me here? Who allowed you to address this princess like that? Don't think that just because my imperial father respects you, you can covet what doesn't belong to you." Xiao Yefeng arrogantly raised her chin and spoke in an overbearing manner. This man's eyes were so gentle when he looked at her. He would definitely not be angry because of these words. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to explain to her imperial father. When the others heard Xiao Yefeng's words, they looked at Yin Zhao with eyes full of understanding. Chapter 1952. It turns out that this man came to pursue Xiao Yefeng. It seems that his strength is not bad. His imposing manner makes people tremble with fear. Unfortunately, he is too ugly, so Xiao Yefeng doesn't like him. Indeed, in everyone's ears, the pronunciation of Feng and Feng is the same. Therefore, not to mention Xiao Yefeng, even the others thought that Yin Zhao was referring to the Purple Moon Kingdom's princess. However, after seeing Yin Luofeng, Yin Zhao's eyes were filled with her existence. The surrounding noise was automatically blocked by him, and he walked towards the beautiful woman in white. "Ghost Emperor, don't you understand human language? I already said I don't like you, you still." Before Xiao Yefeng could finish her words, the man walked past her and walked forward. Suddenly, Xiao Yefeng's expression froze and her eyes widened in disbelief. "This damn man, how dare he ignore me?" Xiao Yefeng was so angry that she turned her head and shouted angrily, "Ghost Emperor, stop right there. Are you trying to attract this princess's attention by loosening the reins only to grasp better? This princess is telling you, don't even think about it." What made Xiao Yefeng even angrier was that Yin Zhao didn't seem to hear her voice and slowly walked in front of Yin Luofeng. His voice was very gentle, completely different from the person she once saw in the palace of the Purple Moon Kingdom. "Feng, I'm here for you." Yes, he's here for her. Yin Luofeng suddenly rushed into Yin Zhao's arms. His arms tightly wrapped around his neck. He raised his lips and pressed them on the man's thin lips. This kiss was so intense that it made everyone present dumbfounded. Didn't Xiao Yefeng say that this man came to find her? It turned out that this was a mistake? Compared to the shock of the others, Xiao Yefeng almost fainted from anger. She clenched her fist so tightly that her nails dug into her flesh. "Your Highness." The palace maid Xiao Chui looked worried and carefully called out. Xiao Yefeng didn't seem to hear her voice. Her eyes were full of hatred as she looked at Yin Luofeng and Yin Zhao. Of course, she doesn't like Yin Zhao, and naturally, she wasn't angry because of his intimate actions with Yin Luofeng, but because this man had caused her to lose all her face in front of so many people. She had claimed that the Ghost Emperor had come to look for her. Who would have thought that the Ghost Emperor would not even look at her, and would even do such an immoral thing with another woman? How could she not be angry and embarrassed? "Yin Zhao, you know this woman?" Yin Luofeng let go of the man's arm and pointed at Xiao Yefeng with his chin, asking with a faint smile. Only then did Yin Zhao return to his senses. He looked over at the direction of Yin Luofeng's gaze, and what he saw was a face that was distorted by anger. He looked at Xiao Yefeng seriously, as if he was trying his best to think. In the end, he shook his head and said, "No." Xiao Yefeng's face turned the color of pig liver. This sentence made her even angrier than when he had ignored her. She had just said that the other party had a crush on her. But in the end, the man said he didn't know her? How could he not know her? If they didn't know each other, he wouldn't have let his father force her to become a concubine. In fact, Yin Xiao really didn't know Xiao Yefeng. At that time, when he had killed his way into the Purple Moon Kingdom and fought against two strong cultivators, the only person he remembered was the Emperor of the Purple Moon Kingdom. Even if Xiao Yefeng had been present at that time, he wouldn't have been able to discover the other party's existence. So in Yin Zhao's eyes, he really didn't know this woman. Chapter 1953. What's funny is that Xiao Yefeng didn't know that it was her father's decision to let her be Yin Zhao's concubine. Yin Xiao never knew her existence. "Oh," Xiao Yefeng sneered. "You're worried about this woman, so you don't dare to say what you've done during this time? If you didn't like me, would you let my father force me to be your woman?" Her father told her at the time that the Ghost Emperor has been looking for a woman, and that woman is likely to be his wife. However, she always thought that the woman who fell in love with the Ghost Emperor must be an ugly person. She didn't expect that the woman would be Yin Luofeng. When she thought of this, Xiao Yefeng felt like she was slapped in the face. Her face hurt. Yin Zhao's face has been cold and terrible. The momentum of her body has suddenly changed. Xiao Yefeng. Xiao Zixuan saw that his sister was getting more and more excessive. He hurriedly stopped her, for fear that this idiot will bring trouble to the Purple Moon Kingdom because of her stupidity. Apologize to the Ghost Emperor. Offer gifts and apologize? Those who don't know the identity of Yin Xiao were stunned by Xiao Zixuan's words. He actually asked the Purple Moon Kingdom's princess to apologize to this unknown man? "I won't." Xiao Yefeng was very angry, coldly staring at Yin Luofeng. "I tell you, you just picked up a man that this princess doesn't want. Do you really think that your man is infatuated with you? This princess just needs to hook her finger, and he will come to this princess' side." Xiao Yefeng's words made Xiao Zixuan ashamed. From the beginning, the Ghost Emperor didn't look at her, and claimed that he didn't know her. In the end, she was still able to say something like that? In fact, Xiao Zixuan didn't know the true strength of Yin Xiao, because he was not in the Purple Moon Kingdom when Yin Xiao fought with the two strong men. And the Emperor of the Purple Moon Kingdom sealed this matter for the sake of face. Therefore, he only knows that his father is very respectful to the Ghost Emperor, but he doesn't know the real reason. If he knew that the two strong men of the Purple Moon Kingdom can't beat the Ghost Emperor, he would never give Xiao Yefeng a chance to say a word. The corners of Yin Luofeng's lips curled up slightly. With a smile on his face, his pitch-black eyes were filled with an evil light. "Yin Xiao, it seems like you've been living a carefree life while I was away?" She had forgotten that in front of her, Yin Xiao was the kind of person who had a one-track mind. Hence, Yin Xiao took her flattering words seriously. At that moment, he became nervous, and a murderous intent appeared in his cold black eyes. Of course, this killing intent was definitely not directed at Yin Luofeng. "Are you from the Purple Moon Kingdom?" Yin Zhao's voice was cold to the extreme. Even the surrounding temperature dropped a few degrees. Xiao Yefeng sneered. "You already know the answer. It seems that this Purple Moon Kingdom doesn't need to exist anymore." Yin Zhao's tone was filled with killing intent. "I didn't expect that the Emperor of the Purple Moon Kingdom would send me a woman." Xiao Yefeng was stunned. His imperial father was sending him a woman? What did that mean? Wasn't he the one who forced it? "I, Yin Xiao, only have one wife in this life." Yin Zhao's eyes had already gradually landed on Xiao Yefeng. This was the first time he looked at Xiao Yefeng. That gaze made Xiao Yefeng feel fear from the bottom of her heart. "The rest, only death awaits." His tone was as concise and comprehensive as ever. The murderous aura exuded from his body made Xiao Yefeng's body tremble. At this moment, she remembered the grand scene when Yin Xiao fought with the two strong men that day. Chapter 1954. You. What are you trying to do? Her body trembled as she took 2 steps back. Yun Xiao was expressionless, his expression cold. His horrifying gaze was like that of a god of death. He could easily reap the lives of others with a raise of his hand. Ghost Emperor. Qiao Zixuan's expression changed slightly as he rushed forward. My sister is young and ignorant. Ghost Emperor, please let her off for now. Furthermore, my sister is the princess of the Purple Moon Nation. What you are doing is not very good. Even if Qiao Zixuan did not like his sister, he would not let anything happen to her before him. Yun Xiao did not say anything. He just moved closer to the Qiao siblings with a cold expression. Up on the high platform, Cheng Feiyang originally did not want to interfere in the matters of other nations. However, this Qiao Yefeng was a princess participating in the 4-nation youth competition. How could he let anything happen to her? Hence, he cleared his throat and said, no matter what grudges you have, you can settle them after the 4-nation youth competition. At that time, my Golden Sun Nation will not interfere. Yin Xiao glanced coldly at Cheng Feiyang, but he did not stop what he was doing. A swift and fierce wind blasted towards Qiao Yefeng, causing her body to shoot out fiercely like an arrow that had left its bow. Fresh blood gushed out of her mouth without end. Cheng Feiyang's expression changed. He had not expected this man to disobey him. Yin Xiao. Just at this moment, Yin Luofeng's voice came from behind him. Teaching her a lesson is enough. Don't kill her for now. She is slandering me, Yin Xiao said with some grievance. Teach her a lesson first. As for the rest, I want to settle it myself. Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes slightly. It was one thing to spy on her man, but he even dared to slander her. How could he let go of this debt so easily? Seeing Yin Zhao's wronged expression, Yin Luofeng comforted her softly. Do you really think I will believe her words? We have been together for more than 10 years. What kind of trials and tribulations have we not experienced? How can you destroy my trust in you just because of a few words from someone else? Yin Xiao finally relaxed at Yin Luofeng's words. The corners of her lips under the mask curled up into a gentle smile. All right, I will listen to you. Although the man's smile was very shallow, it made everyone's heart hit. This man was as terrifying as a ghost. However, he could also be so obedient and docile. That's right. Towards the Yin Xiao before them, a single word appeared in everyone's hearts, docile. Qiao Yefeng's body trembled even more. The scene of this black-clothed, cold-looking man appearing for the first time suddenly appeared in her mind. At that time, he was high and mighty like a monarch descending upon the world. It was as if he could decide the life and death of a person, with a wave of his hand. It is estimated that the people of the Purple Moon Kingdom never thought that the cold-blooded man would be so gentle. This is Wind Cloud City. Cheng Feiyang slammed the table and stood up. His expression was cold and stern. Young master, please wait until after the competition to decide. As if she did not hear Cheng Feiyang's words, Yin Xiao had already walked in front of Qiao Yefeng. His gaze was cold and condescending as he stared at Qiao Yefeng coldly, as if he was looking down on the world. His gaze was as if the Qiao Yefeng standing in front of him was already a dead person. Boom! Yin Zhao's foot stepped on Qiao Yefeng's chest. He did not have the slightest bit of pity for the other party, because she was a woman. Ghost Emperor. Qiao Zixuan felt Yin Zhao's terrifying power. His heart surged with fear, and he gritted his teeth. Please be lenient. Chapter 1955. Yin Luofeng had only said that he would spare her life. However, he did not say that she could not be beaten to a pulp. Yin Zhao's expression remained cold, and she did not show any mercy. With a flip of her foot, she sent Qiao Yefeng, who had been trampled on the ground, flying into the air. She fell from the sky and landed on the ground with a loud bang, creating a huge pit. Qiao Zixuan's face turned pale, and he did not dare to say a word. The drifting wind country was on Yin Luofeng's side, and was naturally enraged by Qiao Yefeng's words. They wanted nothing more than to beat her to death. As for the third prince and the others from the country of Tianqi, they had been frightened by Yin Zhao's arrogance, and did not dare to step forward. Only Cheng Feiyang from the country of Golden Sun shot a look at the expert behind him. That person leaped up and slashed down from the sky. Yin Xiao raised her head and looked at the old man, who was descending from the sky. A cold light flashed in her grim black eyes. Whoosh! The old man's attack was accompanied by a strong gust of wind, instantly blowing Yin Xiao's mask off. His black hair, which was as black as ink, fluttered in the wild wind, slowly brushing past his handsome face. At this moment, Qiao Yefeng had already been fished out of the pit by Qiao Zixuan. Her body was in a terrible state, and blood kept spurting from her mouth. It was a good thing that Qiao Zixuan had brought some spiritual medicine with him. This spiritual medicine could not heal Qiao Yefeng's injuries, but it gave her the strength to speak. Ghost Emperor, you ugly monster. You're only taking revenge on me, because I don't want to be your concubine, because I find you ugly. Do you really think that the woman by your side is anything good? There's no woman who doesn't like good-looking men. Anyone who is with you is only doing it for your power. I'd rather die than marry an ugly monster. As Yin Zhao's back was facing Qiao Yefeng did not see the man's face the moment his mask fell. She only heard gasps from all around her. Qiao Yefeng laughed icily in her heart. This ghost emperor must be too ugly, and that was why everyone was shocked. However, just as she finished speaking, the people around her looked at her as if she was an idiot, as if she had said something stupid. Just as Qiao Yefeng was puzzled, the man with his back facing her slowly turned around. In an instant, Qiao Yefeng's face stiffened, and even her breathing stopped. Her eyes were wide open, and her slightly trembling lips revealed the shock in her heart. What kind of face was that? He was as perfect as a god, without a single flaw. His pitch-black eyes were as cold as an eagle's in the night. Just a single glance from him would make one's heart stop beating. Qiao Yefeng had seen countless men, but the man standing in front of her right now was the most handsome she had ever seen. He was so handsome that he didn't seem like a human at all. Why? Qiao Yefeng clutched her aching heart and said with a pained look, "Why are you so good-looking? Why did he have to wear a mask? I know. You must be testing me to see if I will fall in love with you because of your ugly face." Even now, Qiao Yefeng still stubbornly believed that her imperial father had forced her to become the Ghost Emperor's concubine, because the Ghost Emperor had taken a fancy to her. Unfortunately, she had always believed that the Ghost Emperor was extremely ugly, so she had never agreed to it. Yun Xiao looked at Qiao Yefeng expressionlessly as he raised his hand and pulled Yin Luofeng into his arms. The corners of his lips gently curled into a small angle. Chapter 1956. You're thinking too much. Over the years, there have been too many women pestering me. I can't even kill them all. In order to prevent my wife from feeling unhappy, I wear a mask when I walk outside to prevent my wife from feeling unhappy. You're thinking too much. These 4 words almost drove Qiao Yefeng crazy. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she tried to walk towards Yin Xiao several times. But because her injuries were too severe, she fell to the ground again. Why? Why did things turn out like this? It was one thing for the Ghost Emperor to be ugly, but he just had to be so young and handsome, and his strength was even more formidable. How could she feel happy about this? What's more, she almost became this man's woman. Feng Qiao Zixuan supported Qiao Yefeng's body and looked up at Yun Xiao. My sister already knows she was wrong, please stop. This is Wind Cloud City. The masters of Jin Sun Country will not let you do as you please. As he said this, Qiao Zixuan glanced at the old man who had just attacked. He was standing motionless like a mountain, as if as soon as Yin Xiao made a move, he would follow suit. Qiao Zixuan softened his tone. Ghost Emperor, I know you're strong, but my Purple Moon Country is not too bad. Father respects you very much. That's why he intends to marry Feng to you. If you go against him, I'm afraid the Purple Moon Country will not let you go. At this moment, Qiao Zixuan's heart was filled with many thoughts. The Ghost Emperor was so young and powerful. If he married his sister, then the Purple Moon Country's strength would increase by another level. With their strength, surpassing Jin Sun Country would only be a matter of time. Moreover, his sister already knows she was wrong, so she will never do it again. Yin Luofeng felt Yin Zhao's anger. She clenched his fist and looked indifferently at Qiao Zixuan. However, There was a sinister aura emanating from between her brows. I'm sorry. I'm a very petty person. In this life, he can only have me. If anyone dares to step into our Yun family's house, then I'm sorry. I won't let them leave again. Xiao Zixuan's face changed slightly, and he forced a smile. Miss, I'm afraid you can't make the decision on this matter, right? Yun Xiao tightened his grip on Yun Luofeng's shoulders. His eyes, which had been filled with sincerity and warmth when he looked at Yun Luofeng, reverted to their usual callousness when he looked at Xiao Zixuan. Not only my life, but even my life is in her hands. If she wants me to die, then I will die for her. If she wants me to live, then no one can kill me. Even my life is like this. Yet you think that she can't make decisions for me and my family. Even his life was in her hands, let alone his. Yun Xiao knew that Yun Luofeng's words were to prevent any more women from finding trouble for them. So what if he cooperated with her? If not for this, he would have killed this group of people long ago. Fenger, you don't have to do anything to these women. I'm afraid of dirtying your hands. My peach blossoms will be cut off by myself. Yun Zhao's figure flashed and appeared in front of Qiao Yefeng. Before the old man from Jinyang country could react, Yun Zhao's hand had already landed on Qiao Yefeng's head. He twisted her neck forcefully, and her neck was twisted off, causing blood to spurt out wildly. Everyone was dumbfounded. Some people couldn't stand this scene and ran to the side to vomit. Yun Xiao looked at the head in his hand and was stunned. Then, he looked at Yun Luofeng and said innocently, I accidentally used too much force and she died. I really didn't mean it. Chapter 1957. Yun Luofeng's mouth twitched a few times. She accidentally used too much force and she died? Was this the result of accidentally using too much force? However, looking at Yun Zhao's innocent expression, Yun Luofeng did not say anything to reprimand her. After all, even if Yun Xiao did not make a move, she would not let her off. The only reason she stopped her was because she wanted to do it herself. It's fine. If she dies, then she dies. Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders and said disapprovingly. It was as if to her, the death of a person was as simple as eating a meal. Xiao Zixuan was stunned. He looked at the girl lying in a pool of blood, and suddenly felt incomparable grief and indignation. No matter how much he disliked this sister of his, she was still his biological sister. How could she die in front of his eyes? However, Xiao Zixuan knew his own strength. No matter how angry he was, he did not dare to say a word in front of her. The others were also shocked. They did not expect Yun Xiao to kill someone so decisively under the threat of the Jinyang country cultivators. Brat! Cheng Feiyang was furious and said coldly, You really do not take my orders seriously? He was so angry not because of Qiao Yefeng's death. To him, what did Qiao Yefeng's life or death have to do with him? He was just angry that Yun Xiao dared to ignore his words, and even killed someone in front of him. How could he tolerate this? Unfortunately, Yun Xiao did not even look at him, and walked to Yun Luofeng's side. His cold eyes, which were filled with bloodlust, showed a hint of warmth when he faced the girl. If you want to be the commander of the 4 countries, how about I help you? Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders. I prefer to rely on my own strength. The man was startled and his lips curled up slightly. All right, then I will accompany you. If you want to conquer the world, then why not accompany you? I am only willing to be your vanguard and sweep away all the dogs that block your way. The two of them acted as if there was no one else around, but it aroused the anger of the crowd. Cheng Feiyang clenched his fist tightly. His eyes were filled with coldness. However, just at this moment, Princess Jin Yang said softly, Imperial Father, the Purple Moon Kingdom's princess is already dead. There is no need for us to waste time on a dead person. We might as well start the 4-nation youth competition earlier. These words brought Cheng Feiyang back to his senses. Indeed, to him, the 4-nation youth competition was the most important. As for the debt with this man, he could wait until the 4-nation youth competition ended before settling it. Since my daughter is pleading for you, I will let you off this time. Cheng Feiyang laughed coldly as a cold light flashed across his domineering eyes. However, you don't seem to be from the 4 nations. Naturally, You don't have the right to participate in this competition. This man was very strong. Even Jin Yong couldn't compare to him. To be on the safe side, he couldn't let this man get involved. Yin Xiao looked at Cheng Feiyang expressionlessly. The murderous aura on his body had already gradually surged out like a storm. It was extremely oppressive, causing the surrounding people to feel suffocated. It was as if a hand was pinching their chests, making them unable to breathe. Suddenly, a hand pressed down on the back of Yin Zhao's hand. When he turned his head, he was met with a pair of eyes that were smiling evilly. This is a battle that belongs to me. Yin Xiao, I can't always rely on you. I need to rely on my own strength to seize this piece of the world. The woman's eyes were very resolute, so resolute that Yin Xiao withdrew his murderous aura. He nodded obediently. All right, I will listen to you. Chapter 1958. Yin Luofeng let go of Yin Zhao's hand and walked towards Qi Su and the others. Someone take the purple moon princess body away. Cheng Feiyang looked at the body in the pool of blood with disgust. He frowned slightly and asked, Fourth Prince, what's your decision? Xiao Zixuan cupped his fists and said with red eyes, Your Majesty, please allow my sister to stay in Wind Cloud City for a few more days. I will bring her back after the competition. Xiao Yefeng was already dead, and he must not lose the right to participate in the competition. All right, Cheng Feiyang nodded. I will allow the princess to stay for a few days, but I don't want her to tarnish the station. Do you understand? Thank you, Your Majesty. Cheng Feiyang's eyes swept towards Yin Xiao and Yin Luofeng. His slightly lowered eyes hid hatred and enmity. The four-nation competition is an opportunity. He will let Yin Luofeng taste the consequences. If he made a mistake, he must pay the price. Next up is the four-nation youth competition. Cheng Feiyang's voice suddenly turned sharp. As everyone knows, our Wind Cloud continent has always been without a leader. As a result, the Wind Cloud continent is currently in chaos. There are even many wandering experts who have formed a team and plan to become enemies with our four nations. Under normal circumstances, once one breaks through to the heavenly god realm, they will be absorbed by the four countries. However, there are still some experts who are not willing to submit to others, so they escape the four countries and hide. Now these experts have formed a team and plan to overthrow the rule of the four countries. This is the reason why Cheng Feiyang announced to the four countries that he intends to appoint a leader. Everyone don't worry. No matter which country wins this competition, they will become the leader of the four countries. No one will dare to disobey them. Cheng Feiyang's voice was powerful and resonant, but there was confidence between his brows. In fact, there was another reason why he issued this edict. He wanted the other countries to work for him. However, he also understood that without a goal, it would be very difficult to win over the four countries. At this time, those experts will start to cause trouble for the four countries. For this reason, he will use this as an excuse to let the Golden Sun country truly rise above the other countries. As for failure, he did not even think about it. In Cheng Feiyang's heart, there was no genius in the four nations who could defeat his daughter, Princess Jin Yang. Therefore, Jin Yang would definitely win the position of the leader of the four nations for her. Imperial Father. Princess Jin Yang's clear and cold voice sounded in the quiet square. It's getting late. It's better for us to start the competition earlier. Perhaps intentionally or unintentionally, Princess Golden Yang's eyes swept across Yin Luofeng's face. Her eyes gradually became cautious. Among the people present, perhaps the only one who could be considered a formidable opponent was this woman. However, in this battle, she could only accept victory and not defeat. Thinking about the consequences of failure, Princess Jin Yang's heart tightened. She clenched her fists tighter. Ladies and gentlemen, the competition is very simple. This competition will be held in the Nemesis Forest. As for this competition, it was set by me and the other emperors of the four kingdoms. In addition, each country's imperial jade seal will be placed in the Nemesis Forest. Cheng Feiyang continued to speak in a cold and stern voice. In the process of searching for the imperial jade seal, not only can you take away other countries' imperial jade seals, you can also snatch them from their hands. Whoever obtains the most imperial jade seals will be the winner. If everyone can only find one imperial jade seal, then whoever returns to Wine Cloud City first will be the winner. Chapter 1959. The entire plaza quietened down at Cheng Feiyang's words. Nemesis Forest was the most dangerous place on the mainland. If they went to Nemesis Forest, they would most likely die. No one would have thought that the four nations would use Nemesis Forest as the venue for the four-nation competition. Everyone, do not worry. Cheng Feiyang smiled faintly. The place where the jade seal is hidden will not be in the depths of Nemesis Forest. As long as you do not go too deep, you will not encounter any danger. Hearing this, everyone's hearts were at ease. The position of the leader of the four nations was very important. However, they were even more unwilling to be in danger. Princess Jean Yang's expression remained indifferent. Her eyes scanned the crowd of participants. When she saw that the participants had clearly heaved a sigh of relief, the corners of her lips curled into a sarcastic smile. However, she looked at Yin Luofeng again. When she saw that the woman in white was still as calm and demonic as before, a trace of admiration flashed in her eyes. A woman like this was indeed different from the rest. However, she did not know if they would become friends or enemies in the future. I'll go with you. Yin Xiao slowly walked to Yin Luofeng's side and looked at the woman in front of him seriously. You can follow me secretly. Don't let anyone discover you. Seeing the man's determined gaze, Yin Luofeng knew that even if she rejected him, this man would not allow her to go to Nemesis Forest alone. Hence, she deliberately lowered her voice and spoke. All right. Yin Zhao's expression was very determined. Even if Yin Luofeng rejected him, he would follow her secretly. Only then could he rest assured. Oh, that's right, Yin Xiao. Yin Luofeng seemed to remember something and said, Mo Qianqing is here too. Mo Qianqing. These three words made Yin Xiao frown, but he did not say anything. He raised his hand and pulled the woman into his embrace. His voice was resolute as he said, I don't care how many men are eyeing you. You only belong to me. That's enough. No matter how many men want you, as long as your heart is with me, how can I not be satisfied? Yin Luofeng's heart skipped a beat. This man had always wanted simple things. He had never restricted her growth, and had never tried to kill off any man who appeared by her side. He had always believed that it was enough for her to have him in her heart. Ahem. Chi Su coughed dryly. Her face was filled with awkwardness. You're showing off your love as if there's no one else around. Shouldn't you at least consider our feelings? It's fine if it's me, but the second prince is still a single dog. Is it really okay for you to do this? At first, Qi Ling didn't feel anything, but when he heard Chi Su's words, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. He suddenly felt that these two people's public display of affection really made him sad. At this time, Cheng Feiyang had already given out the necessary instructions. He slowly stood up and said, Next, the experts of our Golden Sun country will bring you to Nemesis Forest. After half a month, we will gather at Wind Cloud City. Nemesis Forest was not far from Wind Cloud City, only a few hundred meters away. This was also the reason why they had chosen Nemesis Forest. But, when Chi Su heard the words Nemesis Forest, his brows moved slightly, and a trace of sadness surged in his heart. Back then, his master had gone to Nemesis Forest and disappeared without a trace. Now that he was about to enter that place, he wondered if he would be able to find her footprints. Chapter 1960. Nemesis Forest. A woman sat in a valley in the depths of the forest. Her white robes fluttered in the wind. Compared to Yin Luofeng's demonic and lazy demeanor, this woman had a calm and otherworldly air about her. Suddenly, a sharp aura pierced through the air and caused the woman in white, who had been sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed, to suddenly open them. Her eyes were cold as she stared icily at the dark sky. Since you found your way here, why bother hiding? You can come out now. A woman dressed in a flowing green dress appeared in the sky. The woman's face was filled with disdain as she looked down at the woman in white sitting on the ground. The corners of her lips curled up gently. Yin Yueqing, I never thought that you would be hiding in Nemesis Forest. It's your good fortune, that our alliance leader has taken a liking to you. You don't know what's good for you. I really don't know what kind of charm you have to make the alliance leader so infatuated with you." Yin Yueqing's face was expressionless. Her expression was calm. "I don't love him. It's that simple." In reality, she did not know why, but she could not find any interest in any man. It was as if there was someone hidden deep in her heart. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not remember what that man looked like. There was only a blurry figure that seemed to agitate the nerves in her mind. Yin Yueqing. The woman in green was trembling with anger. She glared fiercely at Yin Yueqing. I've come to find you for something else. I remember that before Master passed away, he gave you a seal. Hand over that seal, and I'll spare your life." Yin Yueqing slowly rose to her feet. She was dressed in white and looked as ethereal as a fairy. Her expression was calm, and her eyes were unruffled. The Windy Cloud continent is ruled by the 4 nations. They force anyone who is a sky god to join them. That's why Master established the Freedom Alliance. His goal was to protect the freedom of those who were unwilling to join the royal family. However, after Master's death, you went against his wishes and wanted to unify the entire Windy Cloud continent. How are you any different from the 4 nations? Yin Yueqing's voice was overbearing as she walked towards the woman in green. "Because I didn't want to wallow in the mire with you. You want to kill me. And you still keep saying that he loves me?" 3 years ago, she left her disciple and headed towards Nemesis Forest in search of medicine. However, just as she had found the medicine, someone sent her a letter saying that her master was gravely ill and wanted her to return to the Alliance. Who knew that what awaited her in the Alliance was an encirclement? Her master had passed on the seal to her before he died. Back then, she didn't know that the current Alliance leader, who was also her senior brother, was a wolf with wild ambitions. In order to obtain the seal, he did not hesitate to poison her. He had even taken advantage of her when she was in danger to seriously injure her. She had then risked her life to escape from the Alliance. She had been on the run all the way until finally, she had chosen to return to Nemesis Forest to recuperate. "Yin Yueqing, this isn't up to you. I'm here on the Alliance head's orders to retrieve the seal." The green-robed woman raised her head arrogantly and continued. "Besides, the Alliance leader truly likes you. If you had just handed over the seal, the Alliance leader would not have hurt you. Instead, she would have cured you of the poison. Unfortunately, you are too disobedient. The Alliance leader is Master's eldest disciple, so it's only right that he should inherit the Alliance. You have only been in the Alliance for over 10 years. Why should the Alliance be handed over to you?" Yin Yueqing laughed softly. "Even though I don't know what it means to like someone, I do know that when you like someone, you are willing to give everything to them. You would never hurt the person you like. He only wants to possess me, he doesn't like me." Chapter 1961. It seemed like there was a man who truly loved her and loved her as much as his own life. Why couldn't she remember? Yin Yueqing rubbed her aching forehead and frowned slightly. Her frown made her look even more pitiful. The green-clothed lady gritted her teeth. What was so good about this vixen? Why did the Alliance leader like her so much? An ungrateful woman like her did not deserve the Alliance leader's love. "Yin Yueqing, don't blame me for being rude if you insist on not handing over the seal." The green-clothed lady sneered. Yin Yueqing was invincible within the ultimate god realm. It could be said that no ultimate god could defeat her. That was why she was so famous in the mainland. However, Yin Yueqing had yet to recover from her injuries. How could she possibly be a match for her? Boom! Yin Yueqing's aura surged when she saw the green-clothed lady about to attack. Her cold gaze was like a sharp sword that pressured the green-clothed lady so much that she could not breathe. Panic flashed through her heart. Wasn't she still injured? Where did she get such a strong aura? "Lang Xinyue, do you really think you can do whatever you want just because I'm injured? Back then, I, Yin Yueqing, could defeat dozens of godly venerables on my own. Why would I need to expend so much effort to deal with a mere you?" Her lips curled into a faint smile as she looked indifferently at Lang Xinyue. Lang Xinyue's eyes flashed with panic. You're fine? You want to know if I still have my previous strength? You can try. If you hadn't poisoned me, I wouldn't be afraid even if there were 100 of you at the same time. Yun Yueqing took a few steps closer to Lang Xinyue. Lang Xinyue took a few steps back. She was used to being cautious. She didn't dare make a move until she was sure that Yun Yueqing had truly recovered from his injuries. However, she was not willing to be at a disadvantage and bit her lip. Yun Yueqing, I know you accepted a disciple in Drifting Wind Nation. If it wasn't for the Alliance leader dealing with important matters and comforting the old men in the Alliance, I would have gone to find trouble with your disciple long ago. Yun Yueqing's eyes flashed with a cold light, and his killing intent surged. However, Lang Xinyue smiled coldly. I don't mind telling you one thing. Recently, in order to deal with our Freedom Alliance, the 4 countries have begun planning to elect a genius to lead the 4 countries. Yun Yueqing stopped and looked coldly at Lang Xinyue, waiting for her to continue. As for the Alliance Master, you've already looked for the Emperor of Golden Sun Country, Cheng Feiyang, and asked him to use Nemesis Forest as the venue for the competition. In a few days, the geniuses from all the countries will arrive here. Lang Xinyue raised his chin slightly. According to a reliable source, your disciple is among them. Yun Yueqing narrowed her eyes and clenched her fists tightly. Lang Xinyue laughed coldly. As for this Nemesis Forest, it will be their burial ground. Yun Yueqing stared coldly at Lang Xinyue. You said that Cheng Feiyang made peace with you? What's in it for him? Of course there are benefits. The Alliance Master promised Cheng Feiyang that she would help him raise his strength to the godly supreme realm. You should know that Master has a secret technique that can help people reach the godly supreme realm quickly. However, this secret technique has side effects. Anyone who receives this secret technique will gradually wither and die after a few years. It's laughable that Cheng Feiyang is an idiot. When he saw the Alliance Master use the secret technique on someone else in front of him, he believed it without a doubt. However, the Alliance Master lied to him and only said that the Freedom Alliance's target is the people of Drifting Wind Nation. As the fiancé of Drifting Wind Nation's princess, Chi Su will definitely participate. As for the matter of electing the leader of the 4 countries, the Freedom Alliance will not participate. Chapter 1962. Unfortunately, she had not expected Chi Su to join the country of Drifting Wind, instead of the country of Drifting Wind. Yun Yueqing gently closed her eyes. After a long while, she opened them again. Her tightly clenched fists were trembling. Have you said enough? If you have, then get out of my sight immediately. Boom! The earth-shattering aura pressed down on Lang Xinyue, causing her expression to change once again. She felt as if she could not breathe under the pressure. Yun Yueqing, I'll let you have your way. Sooner or later, I'll make you kneel before me and beg for mercy. She glared angrily at Yun Yueqing before she turned around and quickly disappeared into thin air. Yun Yueqing was afraid that Lang Xinyue would return, so she did not withdraw her aura. After a long while, when she knew that Lang Xinyue would not return, her body turned limp, and she collapsed to the ground, unable to hold on any longer. At that moment, a little tiger with blood-red stripes emerged from the forest. The other spiritual beasts also revealed themselves and walked towards Yun Yueqing. They gently licked her beautiful face with their tongues. I'm fine, don't worry about me. Yun Yueqing smiled. I've used my aura to force her away. However, I don't know if she will return in a few days. When that time comes, you must hide well. Don't let her see you. I don't want to put you in danger because of me. The little tiger raised its head and stared worriedly at Yun Yueqing. Even though the spiritual beasts did not say anything, Yun Yueqing could sense their worry. In a few days, my disciple will most likely arrive in Nemesis Forest. When that time comes, you should pay more attention. If his life is in danger, let me know. If anything else happens, help him if you can. The little tiger nodded and laid down on the ground, allowing Yun Yueqing to rest against its body. Little tiger. Yun Yueqing stroked the little tiger with blood-red stripes. She then swept her gaze across the spiritual beasts and laughed bitterly. Actually, my injuries are getting worse and worse. The poison from back then has not been neutralized. I don't know how much longer I have left to live. In this life, the thing I regret the most is that I have not been able to regain my memories, nor can I remember my family. Yin Yueqing's eyes were filled with sorrow. However, I know that I have a daughter. Every time she woke up in the middle of the night, she would dream of a small figure tugging at her sleeve, crying and begging her not to go. Every time she dreamt of that tiny figure, her heart would throb in pain. If after I die, I hope that you will be able to leave Nemesis Forest, find my daughter, and obey her orders. In reality, she has been searching for over 10 years, but she still could not find her relatives. How could she count on the spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest? Even though she had already forgotten the past, a few scenes would occasionally flash through her mind. Those scenes showed that her daughter, like Lil Linger, was unable to cultivate. Hence, she hoped that the spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest would be able to find her and protect her for the rest of her life. Woo woo. Xiaohu whimpered a few times and rubbed his head against Yin Yueqing. His eyes were filled with tears. The other spirit beasts also let out sorrowful cries. At the same time, in the relay station of Wind Cloud City, Cheng Feiyang felt uneasy. He had a feeling that something was about to happen. Your Majesty, Lord Wuzuan has arrived. Cheng Feiyang was stunned before he said, invite him in. Chapter 1963. Unlike the other countries, the Golden Sun Nation had 3 godly venerable experts. Lord Wuzuan was one of the 3 ultimate gods. As he spoke, the elder dressed in a long gray robe walked in from outside the door and said directly, Your Majesty, I have something that I am very confused about. The competition that we discussed in Jinyang Country was not held in Nemesis Forest. Why did you change the venue at the last minute without discussing it with me? Cheng Feiyang's expression changed. He knew that he could not hide this matter from Lord Wuzuan. Hence, he did not hide it anymore, and told the old man everything. Idiot! Hearing Cheng Feiyang's explanation, Wuzuan's expression changed. Don't you know what kind of person the Freedom Alliance's new leader is? That leader is only in his 40s. But he is sinister and vicious. Do you believe that he lured the geniuses of the 4 nations to Nemesis Forest just to deal with Chisu? Cheng Feiyang was stunned and said weakly, Lord Wuzuan, I don't think so, right? Humph. Do you think the Freedom Alliance doesn't know the purpose of the 4-nation competition? Why would they be stupid enough to help you increase your strength? Isn't that asking for trouble? I suspect that the Freedom Alliance wants to kill all the geniuses of the 4 nations. Wuzuan gritted his teeth and said, Call Princess Jinyang back immediately. Don't let her continue participating in the competition. Wuzuan's eyes flashed coldly as he said sternly, What about the other princes? Our Golden Sun Nation does not lack princes. If you call everyone back, it will definitely arouse suspicion. Hence, let them perish on their own. As for Jinyang, he is the #1 genius of our Golden Sun Nation. He cannot be harmed. Yes. Cheng Feiyang finally realized that he had trusted the Freedom Alliance, because he could not resist the temptation of becoming an ultimate god. If Jinyang was really in danger, it would not be worth it. Clap, clap, clap. At that moment a clap came from outside. Cheng Feiyang and the others' expressions changed. When they turned around, they saw a middle-aged man in black walking in. Although the man was already middle-aged, he was still very handsome. His eyes were filled with hostility, and his gaze was filled with arrogance. It's you. The look in Cheng Feiyang's eyes changed again. Looking at the man who had just walked in, he gritted his teeth and asked, Tell me the truth. You suggested going to Nemesis Forest. Do you want to capture all the geniuses of the 4 nations in one go? That's right. The man did not deny Cheng Feiyang's words. The purpose of your 4-nation youth competition is to deal with our Freedom Alliance. Could it be that I can let you go as I please? A cold glint flashed across Cheng Feiyang's eyes. Then why have you come to find me now? Of course, I want to help you. The man gently curled the corner of his lips. You've seen my secret technique. It's a piece of cake for me to create an ultimate god. Do you think you can defeat the Freedom Alliance by relying on the alliance of the 4 countries? Cheng Feiyang's heart skipped a beat. He recalled the power that the man had displayed earlier, and his forehead began to break out in cold sweat. He raised his head, wanting to wipe off the sweat on his forehead. Who knew that the more he wiped, the more there was, and he was unable to wipe it clean? What is your purpose? Wuzuan asked as he looked coldly at the man. It's very simple. I want your Golden Sun Nation to listen to my commands. Of course, I will do as you wish and help your Golden Sun Nation become the leader of the 4 nations. Furthermore, I will kill the other geniuses of the 4 nations. The man's lips curled up slightly. His voice was filled with a strong killing intent. Chapter 1964. Wuzuan fell silent as he considered the pros and cons. You can refuse, but you will end up the same as the other 4 nations. Even if you let Jin Yang return now, I will still kill her. The man raised his eyebrows as his eerie voice resounded in the study. However, I have long heard of Princess Jin Yang's name, and have admired her for a long time. If you agree, Jin Yang will be the object of your marriage. No. Cheng Feiyang's expression changed. We do not agree. Jin Yang is not an object of exchange. We will not use her as a bargaining chip. Although Cheng Feiyang was muddle-headed, snobbish, and greedy, he truly loved his daughter dearly. Furthermore, Jin Yang was the hope of the Golden Sun country. How could he abandon her? I can agree to this condition on behalf of your majesty. At this moment Wuzuan spoke up. Lord Wuzuan. Cheng Feiyang's face turned ashen. You cannot treat Jin Yang like this. Your majesty, I know that you love Jin Yang, but she is just a woman. Do you want her to inherit the Golden Sun country? Before this old man had already told Jin Yang that she had to obtain the first rank in this 4-nation youth competition. Otherwise, this old man would let her marry the emperors of the 3 nations. With Jin Yang's status, she must be the empress of any nation. Cheng Feiyang's eyes widened. He had not expected Wuzuan to say such a thing to Jin Yang. Of course, I was just trying to scare Jin Yang. The emperors of the 3 nations are not qualified to marry someone who can marry Jin Yang. Thus, I forced her to do her best to win first place. Wuzuan glanced at Cheng Feiyang and continued. And now, the Freedom Alliance's leader is willing to marry Jin Yang. Why should we not agree? Cheng Feiyang's legs turned to jelly as he fell to the ground. His face was pale. In front of others, the experts of the Golden Sun country would give him face. However, behind the scenes, he did not have the right to make decisions in the Golden Sun country. I think you are mistaken. Just as Cheng Feiyang was in despair, the man smiled coldly. I only want Jin Yang to be my woman, not to marry her. The only one who can be my wife is Yin Yueqing. Only she is worthy of my love. The other women can only be concubines. Wuzuan's expression was somewhat unsightly, but the Freedom Alliance was getting stronger and stronger. In addition, this man possessed such a powerful secret technique. It was not up to him to choose. Therefore Wuzuan gritted his teeth. Okay. Lord Wuzuan. Cheng Feiyang could not help but exclaim in disbelief. Wuzuan did not seem to notice his gaze, and turned back to the man. Can we summon back the princes of Jinyang country? The man glanced at Wuzuan coldly. With the Freedom Alliance as your backing, what do you need those princes to do? In other words, it was impossible for the princes to stay in Jinyang country anymore. The corners of Cheng Feiyang's mouth twitched. His face was filled with pain. Not only had he lost so many sons in this scheme, but he had also lost his most beloved daughter. The funny thing was that he didn't have the ability to save his daughter. That's right. Is there a lady in white beside the second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi? Cheng Feiyang's eyes flickered. That lady looks too much like Qing. When the time comes, send her to my bed. Even if he could not obtain Yin Yueqing, finding a substitute was not a bad idea. Who asked him to love that cruel woman so much? Chapter 1965. Don't worry, Alliance Leader. When the time comes, I will definitely give that woman to you as a gift. Wuzuan replied expressionlessly. The man laughed. He flicked his sleeves, turned around, and walked towards the door. The people of the Freedom Alliance have already entered Nemesis Forest. If the Golden Sun country really wants to submit to me, then send people there to kill the geniuses of the 3 countries. His order was equivalent to forcing the Golden Sun country to become enemies with the three countries. Cheng Feiyang's face paled even more, and his body was extremely weak. What did it mean to shoot oneself in the foot? No one knew it better than him. Your Majesty, this is an opportunity. Wu Zuan looked at Cheng Feiyang. If the Golden Sun country sends people there, we might be able to save the lives of those princes. Compared to the Golden Sun country, Wu Zuan was willing to give up the lives of those geniuses. But it would be best to have a chance to keep them alive. All right. Cheng Feiyang opened his eyes, and his voice was weak. Lord Wu Zuan, this time, you will personally lead the way, and bring Jin Yang back. Wu Zuan did not speak. The Freedom Alliance was no longer the same as before. Back then, the Freedom Alliance was only for self-preservation. Now the Freedom Alliance was aggressive. If they wanted to survive on this mainland, they had to be willing to give up. Your Majesty, don't worry. Jin Yang is far better off following the leader of the Freedom Alliance than anyone else. Jin Yang was going to marry sooner or later, and no one in the four countries was worthy of her. Therefore, the leader of the Freedom Alliance was definitely her best choice. Bang! At this moment, the sound of someone kicking a stone came from outside the door. Wu Zuan's eyes flashed sharply as he shouted, "Who is it?" Panic flashed across the face of the person outside the door. He turned around and wanted to escape, but very quickly, Wu Zuan and Cheng Feiyang both ran out. The Empress! Cheng Feiyang was stunned. The Empress had come with them to Wine Cloud City, but they did not expect that their conversation would be discovered by the Empress. In fact, when the leader of the Freedom Alliance was still around, he had already sensed the presence of the Empress. However, he didn't take this weak woman seriously, nor did he wish to taint his hands with her blood. Therefore, he did not bring up the Empress. Empress, go back! Cheng Feiyang's voice was filled with anxiety. The Empress's pale face was filled with fear as she knelt down. Your Majesty, do you not know Jin Yang's character? Forcing her to marry a man she does not love is equivalent to asking her to die. Empress, this is a matter between men. Don't get involved. Guards, lock her up. Cheng Feiyang glanced at Wu Zuan, who was standing at the side, and hurriedly gave the Empress a look. Although Cheng Feiyang was brainless and overbearing, he had true feelings for the Empress. No, Your Majesty, I beg you to retract your order. Otherwise, I would rather die than watch my daughter marry the Freedom Alliance. What pained her even more was that in order to live, Cheng Feiyang didn't even care about his daughter's happiness. A look of struggle flashed across Cheng Feiyang's eyes, and Wu Zuan happened to notice it. Your Majesty, those who achieve great things do not bother about trifles. Moreover, you are marrying Jin Yang to the Freedom Alliance for the sake of the entire Jinyang country. As for this woman, she has obviously interfered with Your Majesties. Wu Zuan's eyes were cold and murderous. Chapter 1966. Feeling Wu Zuan's murderous aura, Cheng Feiyang panicked. Lord Wu Zuan, the Empress is not sensible. I will keep a close watch on her, and prevent her from interfering with official matters. Lord Wu Zuan, please. Before Cheng Feiyang could finish speaking, Wu Zuan had already made his move. His body quickly flashed in front of the Empress, his sharp claws fiercely piercing through her chest. Under her unwilling and resentful gaze, he dug out her heart. Bang! The Empress fell to the ground in a pool of blood. Her eyes were wide open, and she died with a grievance. No! Cheng Feiyang's eyes were bloodshot as he screamed at the top of his lungs. He clenched his fists tightly and asked in a furious voice, Your Excellency Wu Zuan, the Empress can't interfere with my decision. Why did you kill her? Your Majesty, I've long felt that this woman would be able to move you. It's just that she didn't go too far before, so I turned a blind eye. But now this matter concerns the entire Jinyang country. I won't allow you to struggle like this. Wu Zuan's expression was cold as he glanced at the woman in the pool of blood with disgust. Moreover, as the Emperor, isn't it easy for you to marry an Empress? A disobedient woman can only end up like this. Cheng Feiyang took a deep breath. If Jinyang finds out about this, do you think she will still listen to our arrangements and marry the leader of the Freedom Alliance? If the Empress is still alive, we can still use her to threaten her. At this moment, Cheng Feiyang's heart was trembling. He closed his eyes, and his pale face was drained of blood. He regretted it. He regretted forming a relationship with the Freedom Alliance. Otherwise, not only would he have stuck to his daughter, but even his wife would not have died. Only we know about the Empress' death. How would Jinyoung know? When the time comes, we can say that the Empress was captured by the Freedom Alliance. We can use this to force her and guarantee that Jinyoung will marry into the Freedom Alliance. Wu Zuan had already thought of an excuse, and his face was filled with a confident smile. Cheng Feiyang closed his eyes slightly. There was an unconcealable pain between his brows, but in the face of the powerful Lord Wu Zuan, he could not resist at all. Your Majesty, you saw what happened to the Empress. If you dare to say anything to Jinyoung, I guarantee that he will not live. Wu Zuan threatened. Cheng Feiyang's body trembled. After a long time, he opened his eyes and said, Not only am I a father, I am also the emperor of Jinyoung country. For the sake of Jinyoung country, I will not speak carelessly. I hope so. Wu Zuan smiled coldly as he waved his sleeves and walked out of the courtyard. After Wu Zuan left, Cheng Feiyang's legs went soft, and he fell to the ground. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought the Empress here. At this moment, no one noticed that when the Empress died, her eyes were fixed on a corner not far away. In the corner, a palace maid covered her mouth tightly, not allowing herself to cry out. Tears flowed down her eyes as she looked at the Empress in the pool of blood without blinking. In reality, before this, the Empress was not eavesdropping alone outside. There was also this palace maid here at the same time. Wu Zuan's SSA King and said, and she said and said Chen Xie and said King. Chen's King, and T. Of course she did not do this to save the maid. She just hoped that someone could send a message to Jinyoung. It was also because of the Empress's actions that this palace maid was not discovered from beginning to end. Chapter 1967. No, I have to look for the princess. After Wu Zuan and Cheng Feiyang left, the palace maid quickly ran out of the relay station. But she had only taken a few steps when she bumped into Mo Qianqing, who was coming towards her. Mo Qianqing was furious when he realized that Yun Luofeng had left him behind. Now that he had bumped into the palace maid, he shouted angrily, Are you from the kingdom of Tianqi? You. The palace maid stood up and looked at the young man in front of her. She thought for a moment and asked, Are you from the kingdom of Tianqi? It was no secret that only 4 people from the kingdom of Tianqi had come to Wine Cloud City. Naturally, the palace maid had gone to watch the commotion and remembered the young man standing next to Yun Luofeng. Suddenly, the palace maid seemed to recall something and said hurriedly, Since you are from the kingdom of Tianqi, hurry to Nemesis Forest. Nemesis Forest? Mo Qianqing tilted his head in confusion. The geniuses from the 4 nations are going to Nemesis Forest to participate in the competition. However, this competition is a conspiracy by the Freedom Alliance. All the geniuses in Nemesis Forest will be in danger. When the palace maid finished speaking, Mo Qianqing's expression changed drastically. A vicious aura emerged from his body, and he dashed out of the relay station with a swoosh. This palace maid was too stupid. She only knew that Mo Qianqing was from the kingdom of Tianqi, but she did not know if Mo Qianqing had been recruited by Cheng Feiyang. Hence, she had told him this secret. If it had been someone else, she might have suffered the calamity of having her entire family annihilated. Unfortunately, the palace maid had no other choice. She did not know how long it would take for her to reach Nemesis Forest with her speed. However, Mo Qianqing had coincidentally bumped into her at this time. She seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw and told him about this matter. Now that she saw Mo Qianqing leave, the palace maid finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, she did not relax because of this and hurriedly walked out. Nemesis Forest stretched as far as the eye could see. Many geniuses had already rushed into the forest. As they looked at the dense forest, those who had experienced countless difficulties would feel timid. Your Highness. Suddenly, a guard moved closer to Jinyoung and whispered, His Majesty just sent a letter. He told you not to enter Nemesis Forest. Jinyoung was stunned and his eyes were filled with astonishment. Why? This competition is so important. Why do you want me to withdraw? Lord Wuzun had said that if she did not win the championship, he would order her to marry the emperors of the 4 countries. However, she had always been proud and arrogant. How could she be willing to share a husband with another woman? So, in order to not be randomly assigned by Wuzun, she could only win and not lose. I don't know either. It was His Majesty's order for you to leave secretly and not tell anyone. Not even my royal brothers. This is His Majesty's order. Jin Yang fell silent. Ever since then, she had felt a little flustered, as if something had happened. But now, in the face of such an important competition, Father Emperor had actually asked her to withdraw from the competition. Furthermore, he didn't want to let her brothers know? Jin Yang took a deep breath and said, I understand. You will leave soon. Your Highness, now you. Jin Yang didn't say anything and slowly walked towards Yin Luofeng. When Qi Su and the others saw Jin Yang approaching, their eyes turned cold and vigilant, as if they were afraid that she would suddenly attack them. After all, they were now in Nemesis Forest. According to the rules, the geniuses could attack each other. Chapter 1968. What's your name? Jin Yang looked at Yin Luofeng and asked. Yin Luofeng glanced at Jin Yang and slightly curled the corners of her lips. Yin Luofeng, I admire you. If there's a chance, I must challenge you to a battle. Jin Yang's cold brows carried a hint of arrogance, and her tone was even more domineering. Her high-pitched voice fell into everyone's ears. The guards, who had thought that Jin Yang wanted to say something, heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. The princess had always been belligerent. It was normal for her to issue a challenge. However, they did not understand why the princess would be so interested in this woman. Could it be that she could fight against the princess? Jin Yang lowered his eyes and deliberately lowered his voice. My imperial father has ordered me to retreat. He doesn't want me to tell anyone about this. Be careful when you're in Nemesis Forest. I have a feeling that something is about to happen. Her voice was very soft, so soft that only Yin Luofeng, Qi Su and the others could hear it. After saying this, Jin Yang turned around and left. From the first time she saw Yin Luofeng, she had treated this woman as her opponent. It did not matter if they became friends or enemies in the future. She did not want this woman to die in Nemesis Forest. Miss Yin, what does she mean by this? Qi Su was stunned and asked in confusion. Yin Luofeng gently narrowed her eyes. After you enter Nemesis Forest, be careful. Princess Jin Yang would not have reminded us of this for no reason. In reality, before this, Yin Luofeng had not felt much about Jin Yang. But now she had reminded her? If what Jin Yang had said was true, then this competition would not be so simple. We can go now. Jin Yang walked in front of the guards and calmly looked at the rest of the people from Jin Sun country. I have something to do and have to leave. You can enter Nemesis Forest first. I will be back soon. The rest of the people from Jin Sun country did not notice the strangeness in Jin Yang's words. Furthermore, from their point of view, no matter what happened, Jin Yang would not abandon such an important competition. Jin Yang did not have much affection for these princes. In fact, she hated them. As such, she did not warn them and walked down the mountain on her own. At that moment, Jin Yang still didn't know that because of her warning to Yin Luofeng, a hand would drag her out of the wolf's den the instant she fell into it in the future. Jin Yang's departure did not cause too much of a stir among the geniuses. To them, it was best if Jin Yang didn't participate in the competition. That way, they would have a chance to win first place. On the contrary, Yin Luofeng was in deep thought because of Jin Yang's words. Second imperial brother. Qi Yu curled the corners of his lips and gently walked towards Qi Ling. He then raised his head arrogantly. You'd better be careful in this Nemesis Forest. Otherwise, I'm afraid that not even your bones will be left. Ha ha ha. Qi Yu laughed and led the army behind him into the forest. Qi Ling acted as if he did not hear him. His eyelids did not even twitch, as if he had completely ignored his existence. Let's go too. Everyone had already walked in. Yin Luofeng glanced at the few people behind him. Then his gaze landed on Mu Shuexin's face. You can come with us. Mu Xuexin was overjoyed and quickly nodded. Okay. Of course. When Yin Luofeng's words fell into the ears of the people from the other countries, they thought that she was timid and wanted to rely on the soldiers of Drifting Wind Country to show off her might. Chapter 1969. At this moment, it was exceptionally quiet in Nemesis Forest. Even the sound of their footsteps on the ground could be heard clearly, even though they had encountered countless spiritual beasts along the way. Before Yin Luofeng could make a move, Qi Ling and the rest had already dealt with the spiritual beasts. We haven't been able to find where the jade seal has been hidden along the way. If we continue, I'm afraid that we will reach the depths of Nemesis Forest. Qi Su glanced at Yin Luofeng and slowly asked, Miss Yin, should we continue? Yin Luofeng looked at the empty space behind her. She could sense a familiar aura in the space behind her, and gently raised the corners of her lips. Let's continue. It was as if Yin Xiao following behind her would make her fearless. All right. Qi Su and the rest no longer hesitated and nodded in response. Hence, the group did not stop, and continued to walk deeper into the forest. The deeper they went, the stronger the spiritual beasts they encountered. Yin Luofeng slowly retracted her emotions, and no longer let her guard down like before. Miss Yin, look. Suddenly, Qi Su pointed at a giant bird flying in the sky. His eyes were filled with excitement. Look, isn't that bird holding a jade seal in its beak? Hearing this, Yin Luofeng raised her head and looked. At that moment, the image of a giant fiery-colored bird flying across the sky was reflected in her eyes. What was even more clear was the jade seal in the bird's beak. The bird must have unintentionally picked up the jade seal in the forest, but did not know what it was used for. Hence, it left with it in its beak, and coincidentally flew right in front of them. Qi Su, take down this firebird. All right. Qi Su raised his hand, and a wave of spiritual energy gathered in his palm, turning into a sharp sword which shot towards the bird with a loud bang. In that instant, the bird let out a mournful cry and fell from the sky, landing heavily on the ground. In reality, along the way, Qi Su and the rest had held back their strength. Only against spiritual beasts that wanted to kill them would he give them a taste of their own medicine. For spiritual beasts like the bird that did not provoke them, he only injured them and did not kill them. It really is the jade seal. This is the jade seal of Drifting Wind Country. Mu Xuexin's heart flashed with joy. She quickly walked up to Qi Su and curled the corners of her lips. Miss Yin. Mu Xuexin thought for a moment and handed the jade seal to Yin Luofeng. I'll give this jade seal to you. Compared to someone else ruling the 4 countries, I would rather you be the one. Yin Luofeng did not stand on ceremony with her and kept the jade seal. Let's continue. They didn't know if it was because they were lucky, but after a while they found a cave. Behind the cave was the imperial jade seal of Jinyang Country. It didn't take much effort for them to obtain the imperial jade seal. There were only 4 jade seals in total, and Yin Luofeng had already obtained 2. This meant that she already had a 50% chance of winning. Just as they continued to move forward, they suddenly found that the people of Jinyang Country and Xiao Zishuan of the Purple Moon Country were already fighting. Xiao Zishuan, hand over the jade seal. The prince of Jinyang Country's face was cold and stern as he shouted, If you want the jade seal, then come and get it. If you don't have the ability, then what is the point? Xiao Zishuan said fearlessly. Chapter 1970. If the Golden Sun Princess was still here, he would be a little afraid. However, the Golden Sun Princess has not entered Nemesis Forest yet. Why would he be afraid of the person in front of him? Xiao Zishuan, you really refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The prince of the Golden Sun Country sneered and said contemptuously. Xiao Zishuan wanted to go back, but at this moment, he saw Yin Luofeng and the others appear in his line of sight. He was stunned for a moment before he sneered. Chengli, the teams from the Tianqi Country and Drifting Wind Country have also arrived. They must also have the jade seal. How about we join forces to deal with them? At the thought of Yin Xiao killing Xiao Yefeng, Xiao Zishuan gnashed his teeth in hatred and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The prince of the Golden Sun Country, Chengli, looked at Yun Luofeng, obviously thinking about Xiao Zishuan's proposal. After a long time he said, "If that's the case, then let's snatch the thing in her hands first." The 4 countries had gathered. Apart from the people brought by Qiyu, everyone else had arrived. It was obvious that the Drifting Wind Country and the Tianqi Country were on the same side, and the Golden Sun Country and the Purple Moon Country had formed an alliance. Yun Luofeng crossed his arms over his chest. The smile on his lips was lazy and evil as he leaned lazily against the ancient tree behind him. "Are you sure you want to fight now?" "Humph." Xiao Zishuan snorted coldly. "If you know what's good for you and hand over the jade seal, we will spare your life." In Nemesis Forest there were endless dangers. Therefore, even if he killed Yun Luofeng here, no one would know. Yun Luofeng put down his arms and smiled faintly. "Unfortunately, you won't have the chance, Yun Yi." Whoosh! In an instant, a light flashed and Yun Yi's burly body landed heavily on the ground, his face expressionless. Heavenly God? He did not hide his aura at all, and everyone present was stunned. Xiao Zishuan gritted his teeth. Mu Xuexin from the Drifting Wind Country is not enough, and the Tianqi Country is small in number. With our combined strength, we may be able to deal with this heavenly God. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Zishuan ordered the people behind him to rush forward. However, before those people could reach Yun Luofeng and the others, a black eagle-like figure slowly appeared in the sky and quickly landed in front of Yun Luofeng. The man was handsome, cold, and tall, but it caused Xiao Zishuan's expression to change drastically, his eyes surging with fear. "You, why are you here?" The Ghost Emperor actually followed him here? Didn't they know that they were breaking the rules? Yun Xiao did not speak, and he did not even look at Xiao Zishuan from the beginning to the end. He shielded Yun Luofeng in his arms as his handsome features slowly grew cold. Someone's coming. Moreover, it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them. Before Xiao Zishuan and the others could recover from their shock, they saw countless figures flying over from the void not far away. Those people's auras were very powerful. So powerful that even the heavens and the earth paled in comparison. The people of the Golden Sun Country, who were originally in a state of panic, suddenly saw Wu Zun among the group of people, and the fear in their eyes turned into joy. Lord Wu Zun. Unfortunately, Wu Zun did not even look at them. His eyes were filled with a cold light as a murderous aura enveloped the entire area. The people of the Golden Sun Country finally realized that something was wrong and shut their mouths, not saying another word. "Lord Wu Zun of the Golden Sun Country, why are you here?" Xiao Zishuan was stunned. He did not think that Wu Zun had followed Yun Xiao here, because he knew that he had come to disrupt the competition. Chapter 1971. At that moment, Xiao Zishuan recalled Princess Jin Yang's sudden departure. Somehow he felt uneasy. More importantly, the people who came with Wu Zun were all ultimate god experts. Since when were there so many ultimate god experts in the continent? Ha ha ha. Looks like everyone is here except for that useless third prince from the Tianqi kingdom. However, it's fine if that useless person isn't here. It doesn't matter. A lovely laugh rang out. A beautiful woman in green walked out from the group of people. The woman's eyes swept across and saw the woman beside Yun Xiao. A hint of jealousy appeared in her eyes. Yun Yueqing was one thing, but now, there was another woman who looked exactly like Yin Yueqing. Especially since the Alliance Master was interested in this woman. "Miss Xinyue, I wonder if you can let these geniuses from the Golden Sun Country go?" Wu Zun turned to the woman in green and asked cautiously. This woman was not only the Alliance Master's junior sister, but also his concubine. He could not afford to offend her. The Alliance Master has ordered that all the geniuses who came to Nemesis Forest will be killed, including the Golden Sun Country. Lang Xinyue's eyes flashed with disdain as she said coldly. Wu Zun's expression changed. He looked at the people from the Golden Sun Country and wanted to say something, but could not find the words. "Lord Wu Zun, what's going on?" Cheng Li's expression was very ugly as he clenched his fists tightly. Jin Yang also said that she had something to do and left. Did she know what we were going to face? Wu Zun glanced at Cheng Li and said indifferently, Jin Yang doesn't know anything. She was just lucky that the Freedom Alliance master took a liking to her. That's why I let her leave first. Does father know about this? Cheng Li gritted his teeth. His Majesty has known for a long time. The agreement with the alliance was also made by His Majesty. Originally, the people from the Golden Sun country still had hope in their hearts, especially Cheng Li. He still respected and admired his father. However, these people were telling him that his father had decided to give up on them? No. Cheng Li clenched his fists and shouted at the top of his lungs, You're lying to me. I'm Imperial Father's son after all. How could Imperial Father treat me like this? Your Highness the Fourth Prince, His Majesty also has his own difficulties, but he has no other choice. This is an order from the Freedom Alliance, and we cannot disobey it. It was obvious that the Jinyang nation was already a part of the Freedom Alliance. They didn't dare to go against the Alliance's orders. Qi Ling's eyes flashed coldly. So our coming to Nemesis Forest is also part of the Jinyang country and the Freedom Alliance's scheme? He said that he wanted the four nations to join forces to deal with the Freedom Alliance. But in the end, he became the Freedom Alliance's lackey. You want to capture all four countries in one fell swoop? That's right. Wu Zun did not deny it. Right now Nemesis Forest will be your burial ground. However, on account that you are from the four nations, this old man will allow you to understand yourselves. His voice was very arrogant, and it was obvious that he did not take this group of geniuses seriously. He did not think he could defeat so many ultimate god experts on his own. Even the Ghost Emperor was the only one he was a little afraid of. That was obviously impossible. Yun Xiao stood by Yin Luofeng's side and protected her in his arms. His cold eyes looked at the many experts who surrounded them, and the murderous intent in his black eyes was gradually revealed. Chapter 1972. The geniuses from the various countries were filled with despair. The faces of the people from Jinyang country were ashen. They had worked so hard to fight for their country, but in the end, they had been abandoned? No, I don't believe it. Cheng Li clutched his head tightly and howled in agony. Father would never do this to me, never. Where's Jinyang? Where's she? Suddenly, Cheng Li thought of Jinyang who had left, and a trace of anger flashed across his pained eyes. Jinyang must have found out about this long ago. That's why he had left so early. What a pity that they were still fighting for their country's honor. Where Jinyang goes has nothing to do with you. Wu Zun's expression turned cold. I only know that everyone who has come to Nemesis Forest today will be buried here. Boom. Wu Zun's aura crushed down like a mountain. Cheng Li's face was pale, and he could not say a word. The pain in his eyes could not be concealed no matter how hard he tried. Run! Xiao Zishuan gritted his teeth, turned around, and leaped towards the back of the mountain. However, he had only taken a few steps when a sharp sword light suddenly attacked him and ruthlessly pierced through his chest. Fresh blood spurted out from his chest, causing his eyes to widen. He unwillingly fell to the ground and lost all signs of life. Who else wants to try and escape? Lang Xinyue smiled coldly and raised the corners of his lips in disdain. In this world, no one has ever escaped from me, Lang Xinyue's pursuit. You are no exception. Except for that woman, Yin Yueqing. However, there would not be two Yin Yueqing in this world. Lang Xinyue's eyes swept across the crowd and looked at Yin Luofeng once again. His face was so similar to Yin Yueqing's that she could not wait to tear it apart. Let's see how he would be able to seduce another man. Leave it to me. Yin Xiao lowered her eyes and whispered into Yin Luofeng's ear. After he said that, he let go of the woman in his arms and glared at the crowd in the void with a pair of cold eyes. Whoosh! At this moment, the man's energy was completely unleashed. His expression was grave and stern, and his long black robe fluttered in the wind. He was like a hawk in the darkness, so powerful that it struck fear into the hearts of people. Lang Xinyue's mind also couldn't help but restrain, and his gaze towards Yin Xiao gradually became cautious. All of you attack. Other than that woman, leave no one alive. That woman was the Alliance Master's designated replacement. So no matter how much she wanted to kill her, She had to control her. The experts in the sky pressed down, all of them leaping towards the crowd on the ground. Because of Qiao Zishuan's death, the Purple Moon Kingdom has become a group of dragons without a leader. These famous geniuses in the country have fallen into a pool of blood under the slaughter of this group of strong people. Miss Yin, these people are ultimate gods. I'm afraid we won't be able to escape this time. Qi Ling's face was filled with despair. At this moment, the first person he thought of was his deceased wife's younger sister. If he were to die in Nemesis Forest, who would be able to protect her in the future? He was afraid that she would be sold by her relatives again. Yin Luofeng gently squinted her eyes and crossed her arms in front of her chest, while leaning against the tree trunk. Her lazy eyes had a faint light in them, and the corners of her lips were curved into a smile. Qi Su was delighted to see Yin Luofeng's calm expression. Is Miss Yin thinking of a way to deal with this group of ultimate gods? Chapter 1973. No. Yin Luofeng faintly answered with a smile. Then what are you thinking about, Miss Yin? I'm thinking, why is my man so graceful even when he's killing someone? Qi Su was petrified. At such a critical moment, you're still in the mood to feed those single dogs dog food? At the same time, Lang Xinyue's expression turned more solemn than before. In the air, facing the reverent god's coercion, the man's movements were still very agile, and he was not forced to stop for a moment by any attacks. When did such a genius appear on this continent? Other than that damn woman Yin Yueqing. Who else could face so many reverent gods and not be at a disadvantage? No, if this continues, I'm afraid there will be changes. Lang Xinyue narrowed her eyes and suddenly looked at the woman in the crowd, a fierce glint flashing through her eyes. Stop this man for me. After saying this, Lang Xinyue swiftly rushed toward Yin Luofeng below. In the sky, Yin Xiao looked down at Lang Xinyue, who was rushing toward Yin Luofeng, and a mocking smile turned up on his lips. No one knew his woman better than him. How could a reverent god hurt her? Then she was underestimating her too much. However, Yin Xiao still moved. With a lift of his hand, a fierce wind slashed down from the sky and rushed toward Lang Xinyue. Ignoring the attacks behind her, Lang Xinyue quickly caught up with Yin Luofeng. A fierce glint flashed through her eyes and she raised her hand, wanting to strangle Yin Luofeng's neck. However, just as her hand was about to land on Yin Luofeng's neck, an arm firmly grasped her hand without warning. You said that no one who comes to the Forest of Heaven's trial can leave? Then I'll return those words to you. Boom. In an instant, the woman's body was covered by a layer of dragon scales. She exerted force on her wrist and slammed her palm on Lang Xinyue's chest. If it was in the past, with Lang Xinyue's strength, she might not be hit by Yin Luofeng. Unfortunately, she was too careless this time and did not expect this woman, who was only a heavenly god, to be able to suppress her. Just as Lang Xinyue retreated a few steps, Yin Zhao's attack also approached her from behind. With a bang, her body was sent flying, and she continuously spat out blood. The woman standing in front of her was covered in white dragon scales. Her eyes were cold and sharp, and she was looking down at her with her arms crossed. Lang Xinyue's face was a little pale. Suddenly she laughed. I didn't expect you to be so powerful at such a young age. Even that woman is not as talented as you. Unfortunately, the alliance leader won't let you off. Who asked you to look so much like her? Yin Luofeng slightly narrowed her eyes, and a cold glint suddenly appeared in her eyes. Tell me why you're here. Lang Xinyue closed her eyes slightly. This time, they were really careless. They didn't expect that there would be two such powerful people in the 4 countries. First, Yun Xiao, who was able to effortlessly deal with so many reverent gods by himself. Now this woman, who was a heavenly god, possessed such powerful strength. Just by looking at these 2 people, she knew that she had lost this strategy. At this time, the remaining people in the 4 countries were all dumbfounded. Qi Su and Qi Ling had long known of Yin Luofeng's strength. Chapter 1974. However, the others did not know. Cheng Li's eyes widened in shock, as he stared at the handsome black-robed man in the sky with astonishment. Then he looked at the white-robed woman standing on the narrow, winding path. His expression changed from despair to hope. However, more than that, it was the shock in his heart. Jin Yang was very talented, and was known as the #1 in the 4 nations. However, Jin Yang did not have the strength to resist the attacks of the ultimate gods. He did not even have the ability to remain calm under the threat of so many ultimate gods. The people of Jinyang country originally looked down on Yun Luofeng and the others. Otherwise, they would not have planned to ally with the Purple Moon country. However, Yun Luofeng and Yin Zhao's strength made them feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Fortunately, the people of the Freedom Alliance came in time. Otherwise, they would have made a mistake that they could never make up for. Even without Yin Zhao's appearance, Yun Luofeng could fight against the ultimate gods. How could they fight? Could they? If it wasn't for that idiot Xiao Zixuan, he would not have wanted to take the jade seal from Yun Luofeng. Thinking of this, Chengli gritted his teeth. If Xiao Zixuan was still alive, he would definitely tear that damn bastard into pieces. Hee. Lang Xinyue crawled up from the ground and laughed icily. Her lips curled into a mocking smile as she said, "Even though I've underestimated your powers, I'll make you suffer this time as well." As soon as she finished speaking, she took out a flute from somewhere and started playing it. As soon as he heard the sound, Yun Luofeng knew that she was playing the music of beast control. As expected, following the sound of the flute, all the spirit beasts within 100 miles rushed towards Yun Luofeng, and the others at a fierce and fast speed. Chi Su. Mu Xuexin's heart tightened, and she subconsciously held Chi Su's hand. Her clear and bright eyes were filled with worry. Chi Su held her little hand instead, as if to give her strength. Facing the panic of the crowd, Yun Luofeng stood under the breeze, calm and indifferent. His evil black eyes were calm, without a ripple of emotion. What was the stampede of beasts? At this moment, everyone clearly saw it. As these spiritual beasts ran wildly, the ground trembled incessantly. It was as if all the spiritual beasts in Nemesis Forest were surging out at the same time. Lang Xinyue put down her flute. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth as she said sarcastically, "I want to see if you can handle so many godly venerables and spirit beasts." Even if Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao could deal with it, the others would not be able to escape death. Yun Luofeng was already prepared for battle. Dragon scale armor covered her entire body, and even her face was covered in white dragon scales. She looked majestic, like a general who could destroy the world. The leader of the group of spiritual beasts was a small tiger with blood-colored stripes. It let out a mighty roar and charged swiftly, leaving a cloud of dust behind it. But when the spirit beasts rushed past the people of the Golden Sun country, they did not even stop. Perhaps it was because of the abnormal reaction of these spirit beasts that Yun Luofeng did not make the first move. Instead, he watched as the spirit beasts got closer and closer. Roar! The blood-colored striped tiger let out a mighty roar and charged towards Lang Xinyue. As for the flying beasts, they attacked the godly venerables who were fighting Yun Xiao. Lang Xinyue's smile froze before she could even disappear. She was scared silly by the scene in front of her. She did not even have time to react when the group of spiritual beasts was right in front of her. Only when a claw scratched her face did she cry out in shock and anger. Chapter 1975. What do you want? I'm your master. Her beast taming skill was useless now? Impossible. She had just tried it a few days ago. Even the people from the 4 nations were dumbfounded, let alone the people from the Freedom Alliance. What was going on? Did Lang Xinyue's beast taming skill backfire? Otherwise, why would the spiritual beasts she controlled attack them instead? The beasts' attacks were ferocious, but the ultimate gods were almost exhausted when they fought with Yun Xiao. Hence, more than half of them were dead in a short while. The blood-colored striped tiger stopped in front of Yun Luofeng and looked at her curiously. A hint of doubt flashed across its eyes. Strange. Why does this human woman have a similar aura to Master Yu Qing's? Could she be the daughter Master Yu Qing had been looking for? Deep in Nemesis Forest, Yun Yueqing was lying on the ground. Her body curled into a ball, and her face was terrifyingly pale. Compared to the eruption of the poison in her body, the pain in her head felt like it was about to explode. It was as if a force had rushed through her brain and was about to break out. Yun family. Brother Yang Feng. Yin Yueqing closed her eyes slightly under the intense pain. A tear rolled down her cheek. I finally remember. She was the daughter-in-law of the Yin family, Yin Yang's wife. Yin Yueqing's fingers squeezed her chest tightly, her heart aching terribly. Her beautiful face was so pale that it was devoid of color. Her expression was as fragile as a piece of paper that could shatter at any time. Should I thank my good senior brother or hate him? If he hadn't poisoned me, I wouldn't have recalled all my memories when the poison erupted. But why do I have to remember all those painful things when I'm about to die? She had been suppressing the poison all these years to be able to live safely. Now, her power could no longer suppress the poison's eruption. However, she never expected that she would remember everything in the past on the eve of her death. She even remembered her husband's death. If I can't remember anything, perhaps I can still die peacefully. Yin Yueqing's vision began to blur and his eyes dimmed. Brother Yang, you're no longer here, but I've dragged out an ignoble existence all by myself. Now, I can finally go down and accompany you. Her vision became more and more blurry. Vaguely, she saw a figure in white sitting on a small tiger with blood-red stripes, quickly running towards her. Brother Yang, I'm sorry, I'm here to accompany you. Yin Yueqing closed her eyes. The moment she closed her eyes, she seemed to see the nervousness and worry of the woman on the little tiger's back. Woo-woo. Little tiger stopped and continued to whimper. His eyes were filled with sorrow, and his eyes were filled with tears. Yin Luofeng quickly got down from little tiger's body and hurried to Yin Yueqing's side. When she felt the woman's weak breathing, she slowly relaxed. Shut up, she's not dead yet. When the little tiger heard this, it closed its eyes quietly. Only then did Yin Luofeng examine Yin Yueqing's injuries in peace. Just now, little tiger had sensed an aura similar to Yin Yueqing's from Yin Luofeng's body. That was why he had asked Yin Luofeng about their relationship. Chapter 1976. Yes, little tiger could speak. It was just that spiritual beasts like them were used to living in Nemesis Forest, and rarely used human language to communicate. After all, it was impossible for a godly venerable realm spiritual beast to not know human language. Yin Luofeng had left the battlefield and asked little tiger to bring her here after learning that Yin Yueqing was also in Nemesis Forest and was severely injured. As for those godly venerable realm cultivators, Yin Xiao would take care of them soon. This is an antidote herb. Feed it to her and temporarily control the poison. However, it will take some time to expel the poison. Yin Luofeng frowned. Yin Yueqing. Oh no, Bai Ling's poison was more complicated. It was the most difficult poison she had ever encountered. It could not be completely removed in a short period of time. This poison would take at least half a month to be removed. After feeding Bai Ling the antidote herb, Yin Luofeng quickly took out a silver needle and pierced it into her heart. She then took out Little Worm from the divine grimoire space and said, "Give me a drop of blood." What? Little Worm was shocked and said weakly, "Master, you know how important blood is to the dragon clan. If you take away a drop of blood, I will need a few months to recover." You're from the ancestral dragon clan, right? Yin Luofeng asked calmly. Little Worm's eyes flashed with caution. Why do you ask? Do you want to return to your real clan? Little Worm was the dragon clan's ancestor, but that did not mean the dragon clan was born because of him. Instead, Little Worm came from the ancestral dragon clan. To normal dragon clan members, any ancestral dragon was their ancestor. Little Worm's gaze became even more cautious. Mistress, just say what you want. Will you really help me return to the ancestral dragon clan? That's right. I'm guessing that the ancestral dragon clan migrated with the birth of the spirit god continent many years ago. If you give me a drop of blood essence, I'll help you return to the ancestral dragon clan. This is a fair deal. Little Worm's eyes lit up when he saw the woman's calm expression. As long as he could return to the ancestral dragon clan, he would be willing to give 10 drops of blood, let alone one. Alright, it's a deal. The little worm wriggled its little butt excitedly. It bit its own tongue and forced a drop of blood out of its mouth, slowly drifting into Bai Ling's mouth. With the help of this drop of blood, Bai Ling's face gradually regained its rosy color. Wisps of black gas also floated out of her chest along with the silver needle. Bai Ling, who was lying on the ground, let out a soft moan and opened her eyes slightly. As soon as she opened her eyes, she felt a warm tongue licking her face, causing her expression to change. I'm not dead. Bai Ling did not want to die before she regained her memory. However, when she regained her memory, she recalled the scene of her husband's tragic death. To her, living would only increase the pain. Don't tell me you want to end this by killing yourself? Don't tell me you think death is a release? No, you're dead. You're free. But you're making the living suffer. Grandfather's hair has already turned white all these years because of you. Second uncle has suffered for so many years. Yun Luofeng looked at Bai Ling's pained expression and continued. Qi Su has also been chased out of the Qi family. Qi Ling even said that once she has the power, she will come to Nemesis Forest to look for you. So many people care about you and care about you. You only want to free yourself. But have you never thought about your loved ones who are still alive? Chapter 1977. Yun Luofeng's words caused Bai Ling's body to tremble. She raised her eyes in astonishment. In an instant, a beautiful and demonic face appeared in her line of sight. This woman was dressed in clothes as white as snow. Her facial features were very similar to Bai Ling's, but she was more domineering and demonic. Bai Ling hurriedly covered her mouth as tears flowed down from her eyes. All these years, even though she had lost her memory, she still remembered that there was a daughter waiting for her at home. But now, her daughter was standing in front of her, but she didn't dare to acknowledge her. You. It's Feng Er? Yun Luofeng's expression gradually softened. Her words confirmed her identity. Mother, grandfather, and second uncle are all waiting for you at home. If they know that you are still alive, they will definitely be very happy. Do you have the heart to let them never see you again in their lifetime? Bai Ling put her hand down as tears flowed freely down her face. She suddenly stood up from the ground and rushed over to hug the woman in front of her tightly. Feng Er, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. All these years, I've never returned to see you. Ever since father and mother left, did those people bully you? She sobbed so hard that her voice couldn't be heard. She didn't know how her daughter had passed all these years that she had been away. Every time she thought of this, her heart would be surrounded by guilt. After a long time, she finally let go of the woman in front of her. Her eyes were filled with tears. All these years, have your grandfather and second uncle been well? Back then, second uncle thought that you and father had died. He wanted to work hard to increase his strength and avenge you. Who knew that because his talent was too strong, he would attract a spoiled brat to compete with him. He defeated that spoiled brat. But that brought about the revenge of the spoiled brat's family. Under those people's revenge, second uncle's strength was crippled and his body was crippled. In order to survive, he pretended to be dead and hid in a dark secret room. He hid for more than 10 years. Yun Luofeng's words made Bai Ling's lips tremble. Her heart was gripped tightly, and the pain was unbearable. This brother-in-law of mine is such a virtuous person. What kind of environment caused him to live in such humiliation? He just didn't want the old man to have to watch his son die before him again. Feng Er, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. She really did not know that in all these years, the Yin family had suffered such a huge change. This can't be blamed on you, because you've lost your memories. Yun Luofeng seemed to think of something and continued to ask. That's right, since you're still alive, then father. Was he still alive? Bai Ling's body stiffened, and her beautiful face turned pale. She slowly closed her eyes as the space between her brows was filled with unspeakable agony. Your father, he's dead. It was she who had personally witnessed that man being pierced by thousands of arrows in front of her. And it was also she who had watched him lose his breath. He was dead, but she had dragged on until now, and had even forgotten about him. Yun Luofeng's heart shrank slightly. She looked at Bai Ling's curled-up body and slowly walked forward. She used her arms to gently embrace the fragile woman in front of her. Father is still alive. Bai Ling was taken aback. She raised her head in surprise and looked at Yin Luofeng's evil face. He's still alive. It's just that he can't appear in front of us. He's definitely somewhere else, moving at the same pace as us. When a person dies, as long as his soul is not destroyed, then he is not truly dead. Chapter 1978. Otherwise, she would not have been able to come to this continent from China. Of course, it was because of little Mo that she could transmigrate. Yin Yang would not have such luck. But now, she could only comfort Bai Ling with such words. Otherwise, she did not know if Bai Ling would be able to survive. Fenger, you don't have to comfort me. Bai Ling stood up from the ground again. If I hadn't seen you, I would have followed your father. I wouldn't have let him be alone. But in this life, I have owed you too much. How could I leave you behind again? Bai Ling chuckled bitterly. Your father and I were fated but not fated. When she had just recovered her memory, Bai Ling could not bear the pain of her loved ones leaving. Now, however, she had calmed down. No matter how much pain she felt, she had to persevere for her family members who were still alive. Right, Fenger, why are you here? Bai Ling finally thought of this and could not help but ask. I'm here to find a friend. Yin Luofeng curled the corners of her lips. I didn't expect to find you. Finding Bai Ling was just a pleasant surprise for her. Yin Luofeng had never thought that Bai Ling would still be alive. Fenger, you can cultivate now? Bai Ling asked in disbelief, as she felt the faint fluctuation of spiritual qi in Yin Luofeng's body. Under Bai Ling's expectant gaze, Yin Luofeng nodded slightly. Hearing the other's affirmative answer, Bai Ling felt a flash of joy in her heart. It's great that you can cultivate. Right, how is the enemy who hurt your second uncle now? As she spoke, Bai Ling's gaze turned cold. Her white robes fluttered like a fairy, but her murderous intent was clear. He's dead. Yin Luofeng shrugged. Also, second uncle has a second aunt now, and I have a cute cousin sister. It's a pity that you couldn't go back to attend their wedding ceremony. Yin Luofeng's words made Bai Ling feel happy. Qingye is married? Of course, that's great. It looks like I'll have to give my niece a gift when the time comes. As for not being able to attend the wedding, that's fine. As long as I can attend your wedding ceremony in the future, that's enough. Hearing this, Yin Luofeng raised her eyebrows. She was embarrassed to tell Bai Ling that she was also married. Little tiger. Bai Ling's face suddenly turned serious as she called out softly. The baby tiger howled and lay down beside Bai Ling's feet, as obedient as a kitten. Fenger, this little tiger is the beast king of Nemesis Forest. I was lucky enough to save it, and it has been following me ever since. From now on, I will hand over this little tiger and all the spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest to you. You will be their only master. Although Bai Ling was very gentle with Yin Luofeng, when she gave orders to the little tiger, her beautiful face was full of seriousness. Xiaohu, if you want to repay me for saving your life, then use your lives to protect Feng. For me from now on. From now on, your master will only be her. Do you understand? The little tiger growled and used its tongue to lick the back of Yin Luofeng's hand, as if to express its goodwill. Bai Ling's heart slowly heaved a sigh of relief. Even though you can cultivate now, your mother is still worried about you. Now, with these spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest, they will be able to protect you on the cloudy continent. Chapter 1979. The blood-colored striped tiger was already at the ultimate god realm. Very few ultimate gods could defeat it. With its protection, Yin Luofeng would not be in any danger. That way, even if the poison were to break out, he would not have to worry about his daughter's life. Suddenly, a sneering voice came from the void. Bai Ling's expression changed when she heard the voice. Haha, I was curious why someone looks so much like you. Now it seems like there's a reason why you two look so alike. The man slowly descended from the void with his hands behind his back. His eerie eyes stared coldly at Bai Ling, who was in front of him. Junior sister, no wonder you were unmoved when I tried to be nice to you. It turns out that you're already married. The man slowly walked towards Bai Ling. He raised his chin slightly and said arrogantly, "Why can that man have you but I can't? I thought you were pure," and turned a blind eye to my advances. "It turns out that you're just a slut who has slept with someone else." Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of light came toward the man's face. He dodged sideways and the sword light hit the tree behind him with a loud bang. In an instant, the entire tree trunk was flattened. Yun Luofeng was dressed in white and was as beautiful as snow. Compared to Bai Ling's ethereal aura, this woman had an extra evil aura. She looked proud as if she was looking down on the world. "My mother doesn't like you because you're not as good as my father." The man's eyes narrowed as his killing intent was revealed. "I'm not as good as that man? What a joke. I'm the leader of the Freedom Alliance. In the future, the entire Fengyan continent will belong to me. You're saying that I'm not as good as a dead man?" "Oh." Yun Luofeng raised her brows slightly. "Sorry, I happen to be interested in the Fengyan continent. So, I'm afraid you won't be the ruler of the Fengyan continent." In an instant, the man's aura surged as he stared coldly at Yun Luofeng with stormy eyes. "Little girl, do you want to die?" A gust of wind blew from his body, and the entire sky became gloomy as dark clouds covered the blue sky. "Fenger, watch out!" Bai Ling hurriedly blocked Yun Luofeng as she looked at the man in front of her fearlessly. "What's the use of threatening a child? You can't even beat me, yet you dare to compete with my husband?" The man laughed out loud, and a gust of wind blew, causing the sky to change color. "I can't beat you, junior sister. If that's the case, why don't we have a competition right now?" Bai Ling's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. "If you can really defeat me, why did you poison me? Wait till I get rid of the poison. I will make you kneel and beg for mercy." "Detoxification?" The man disdainfully smiled. "In this life, she cannot cure the poison." Of course, the man also knew that Bai Ling was just trying to provoke him into leaving this place. Unfortunately, he would not fall for her trick. "Bai Ling, if you want your daughter to live, then come with me. Otherwise, I can crush her to death with one hand." The man proudly raised his chin and said expressionlessly. Bai Ling's expression darkened once again. She gave Little Tiger a look, indicating that she should quickly leave with Yun Luofeng. If he was the only one here, maybe Little Tiger could still fight. However, Bai Ling narrowed her eyes when she saw the few people descending from the void with the man. Chapter 1980. Ultimate Gods. These people were all ultimate gods. Little Tiger let out a mournful cry and looked at Bai Ling with a pair of reluctant eyes. Bai Ling's expression was very resolute. Her eyes were as clear as water, but she stared coldly at the man. "You used the forbidden technique that Master left behind. Don't you know the consequences of this forbidden technique? Although anyone who was cast with the forbidden technique could break through to the ultimate god realm in a short time, they will die after 3 years. It was also because of this that Master did not create a large number of ultimate god experts to avoid harming the innocent." Her words were also meant for the group of people behind the man to hear, who knew that those people's expressions did not change, as if they did not hear Bai Ling's words. Bai Ling's heart sank little by little. Little Tiger finally made up his mind. He walked to Yun Luofeng's side and growled in a low voice. However, Yun Luofeng walked past Little Tiger and slowly walked toward Bai Ling. "You go back and watch." Bai Ling was startled and looked a little anxious. What are you doing?" "Leave it to me." Yun Luofeng's expression was very firm. "I won't allow anyone to insult you." Her voice was like a hammer that smashed hard on Bai Ling's heart. "I won't allow anyone to insult you. Even if I know I'm not good enough, I will never back down." "Fenger, don't mess around." Bai Ling quickly regained her senses and anxiously pressed on the woman's shoulder. "Leave with Little Tiger. With Little Tiger's strength, he will send you out safely. It's not too late for you to avenge your mother in the future." Yun Luofeng's hand slowly landed on the back of Bai Ling's hand and gently pushed it away. "I've said that I won't allow anyone to insult you." Just like back then, it was clearly another country's emperor who was muddle-headed and tyrannical and took a fancy to Bai Ling. But the people slandered Bai Ling as a femme fatale. In order to suppress those voices, She did not hesitate to go on a killing spree and turn the entire imperial city into a river of blood. She would not allow anyone to insult her. Fenger. Bai Ling's heart tightened when she saw Yin Luofeng walking toward the man. She wanted to chase after him, but she staggered and almost fell to the ground. A sense of helplessness invaded her heart. If it wasn't for this damned poison, she wouldn't be in such a passive position. Girl. The man lowered his head to look at Yin Luofeng and sneered. I won't be merciful to you on account of your mother. I also won't let you go just because you're my mother's senior brother, Yin Luofeng retorted. Instantly, the man's eyes darkened, and there was a sinister glint in his eyes. Humph. I want to see how you won't let me off. Finished saying these words, he already strode forward towards Yin Luofeng. The group of ultimate gods behind him were also tempted, but were stopped by the man's stern voice. It's just a little girl. I alone am enough to deal with her. I don't want others to say that I'm bullying her with numbers. At this moment, the man did not hold back at all. His aura was like a hurricane, bringing with it an oppressive aura. Under the strong wind, the woman's expression did not change. Her black eyes were calm, and her body was wrapped in a layer of dragon scale armor. The snow-white armor reflected a cold light under the strong wind. Looking at Yin Luofeng, Bai Ling opened her mouth in shock. Her eyes were filled with shock. Divine Realm? His daughter had already reached the Divine Realm at such a young age? Divine Realm was one thing, but there were 10 ultimate gods in front of her. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.